Oh, shoot. Oh, crap. Can you guys hear me? Oh, maybe you can. Hello, everybody. I am behind schedule. I gotta get my microphone in, but it looks like you guys can hear me anyway. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Hopefully I can be heard now. Yes. Alright. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you, folks. Time to get professional here. My name is Dustin Cormier, and it's a pleasure to see you all. Welcome to my channel. This is another episode of How to Rock Astrology. Today we will be moving through another session of live cold stream readings. Now, I have planned for today for us to be particularly doing the charts of some of my beloved members, as I have so many members who are on my channel and on my show. And I'm going to talk with you guys. If you're interested in becoming a member, it's not so hard to do. You go through the YouTube membership, and if you do feel like being a part of that, it helps me to do what I do, and it gives you a chance to do occasional readings like this, where you get to be a part of a live stream specifically for members only. So I'm glad to have you all here, and already we've got a few folks hanging out with us. It's nice to see you, Lucas, Digitally Cute Bong, and Monica. It's nice to see you guys here, as well as we've got some more folks hanging with us. So, welcome. It's been a little while since I've done a live. As you guys can see, I'm not in my usual spot. This is my interesting, different house. Me and my brother own a place close to the city of Toronto, but I usually am at my father's cottage. My dad owns a cottage sort of up in cottage land, close to the lakes, sort of northeast of Toronto. But for my birthday, I usually come down, hang out with friends, hang out with people. I had a great birthday. Usually when my birthday comes around, I'm close to Halloween because I'm a Scorpio. So I dressed up as Dr. Frankenfurter this year. I wish I could show a picture, but you guys have seen it on a post already. I've been having a great year. I can always feel things shifting. I'm 34 whole years old now. And, as time goes on, I can feel things shifting, as I guess you could say. I feel myself moving towards more of a serious direction in life as my Saturn matures, as I mature. And, you guys know my whole story. I'm writing lots of books right now. And I am... Oh, Toxica, it's nice to see you, my dear. I'm writing books, and I'm going to be talking about my books on my email list. That's dustincormier.com/subscribe. I'm very excited right now to be writing some very interesting poetry. It's very Venus and Virgo poetry, and I'm going to be calling the book that comes out of this poetry that I've been writing. The book is going to be called The Dirty Virgo Diaries, because as all of you, or as some of you might know, I have a lot of dirty Virgo in my chart. And having Virgo well, I got Venus and Jupiter in Virgo. But more importantly, I have my Swamsha in Virgo. And this relates to what we're going to be talking about today when we get into our discussion of the Big Three, which, if many of you have been watching my show, you would know that that is a huge part of Vedic astrology in general. But it's also where I've been playing around with on my channel. Many of you, if you've been watching, you might have noticed that I am currently teaching about the Big Three in these tiny little 3-minute videos. These 3-minute videos I've been making specifically for you, my fans, which has been a lot of fun. We've already had a few people actually who have already volunteered. My friend Monica has already had her video done, and so has Lucas. And these are two people who have been a part of my channel for a while. So it's very nice to be able to do that for you guys. Now, for anybody else who's interested, you can go on my channel and you can see that I'm releasing these YouTube shorts. They're 3-minute videos describing your Big Three. We've got the Atmakarika, we've got the Swamsha, and then we've got the Moon's Nakshatra. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. I wonder if I have anything here about that. No. Oh, yeah, cool. Cool. If anybody's interested, you can download my ebook thread by going to dustincormier.com/subscribe. What you're going to find there is my, if you subscribe to my email list, you'll be able to get this book thread. And then if you find out with the main character in this book, what instrument he plays, you can email it to me as well as a picture of yourself. And you will be able to get that free reading. Now, today, what we're really all about is we're particularly looking for memberships today to YouTube. It's the YouTube members that are going to be able to get free readings today. And we're doing that today, folks. So if you're a member and you are interested in having a little bit of a chart reading today to discuss your Big Three, then you will be able to get that today. Hello, Irreplaceable Me. Now, Rumfluff is asking, it's just been, so my birthday was on November 8th. Just so everybody knows. So, and as I said, it was a great birthday. I got many people close to me who give me a fine time whenever I have my birthday. Let's get rid of this stuff here. So, awesome, Lucas. I love working with astrology, and I love being able to teach it. I have a lot of Sagittarius in my chart, so I'm happy to be able to provide for that. So, nice to see you all. Let's get started soon. We're already 10 minutes in. My plan today was to discuss the Big Three of those who are channel members. And it looks like we've got a few channel members today. I'm going to have to wrangle my situation here so that... I don't know, you guys probably can't see, but my microphone, I'm using a chair here. And it's a little tricky, but we're going to make it work. Yeah, this will do. So, today, as per always, we are going to be discussing using Kala software. Let me see if I can get this going on here. Yes. We're going to use Kala software. We're going to bring up the charts of people who are members of my channel. This is an example of my very own chart, where you can see that this is the round circle, this is the birth chart. We're going to talk about the Atmakarika in your chart today. In my case, that's Venus Atmakarika in the second house of Virgo. we're going to put the Atmakarka into the what's called the D9 chart, which is called the Navamsha chart. And we are also going to talk about the moon's nakshatra. In my case, I have the moon in Jesta. So because I'm not sitting on my usual computer, I don't have the usual things. I've usually got diagrams to kind of show, this is this Atmakarka, this Swamsha. So I don't have my usual stuff in that regard. But we're here. I'm sure that as long as you guys are watching Kala software, you're gonna get it's just like one of my regular readings. But it's members specific today. Thanks, Irreplaceable Me. Hello there, Ankit Yuvraj. Aquarius Ascendant. Very nice to see you. So everybody, let's just do this for the sake of it. Let's see here. It's nice to have you folks wishing me a happy birthday. Alright, so now if you're on a desktop, you're going to just simply go to YouTube. Of course, it's going to be different. Whoa, fox and cat standoff. That looks intense. So I'm going to go to my channel. And usually, if you go to anybody's channel, you're going to find all this stuff. And then you're going to find a little section about channel members right underneath the first video that comes up. We're live right now, so that's probably the first video that you'd see. Then you go to Our Members. And of course, I have many channel members here who support my channel. Now, if you want to be a part of the reading today, what you would do is you'd click Join. And that would allow you to join my membership. And it's the membership in particular that we are looking for today. The membership will allow you to be a part of videos like this when I do them. And I like to do this stuff for members because my members have been supporting me on my channel. So if you're interested in being a part of this live stream today, feel free to join. It's $3 a month, I believe. And that $3 a month will allow you to see occasional membership-only posts, as well as to be a part of videos like this, and to support me while I do what I do on my channel. So let's get to it, everybody. It looks like we do have members on the channel today. Now, if you guys, we've got Lucas, we've got Monica, and we've got Irreplaceable Me. Now, I know it's a Thursday, and not everybody can stay the whole time, all the time. And I know that I've already done the tiny videos for 2 of you, but it's okay. There's always more to learn. There's always more dimensions of the chart to move through. So, if everybody here who is a member is interested in having a little reading today, seeing what the stars are at, seeing what the world and the universe has to tell you at the moment, now is your chance. So thank you very much, Michael Angel Escalante. So for those who are watching, if you would like a free reading today, feel free to join my YouTube membership. And we're going to get started, and we're going to start reading our first reader, our first chart reading of the day. So all of you, oh, Toxica's here too. Excellent. We have Lucas, Monica, Toxica, and Irreplaceable Me, who I know are part of our membership. For all of you who are here and who are members, you can tell that somebody's a member because they have that tiny little plant seedling that's bursting through beside their name. Let's get started. Let's begin our first reading today. Thank you very much, folks. I wonder how long that audio was out. Thank you very much, everybody, for paying attention. I was just testing you guys. I was just making sure that you guys are paying attention to the audio, you see. I have to do these things as a Leo rising, you know. I have to test you guys and make sure that you guys are actually paying attention. Good job. So, yeah, that was my microphone. My microphone's got a shut up button on it. I'm sure the people in my life wish that this shut up button was on me all the time. I'd just say, Dustin, bang, and I'd be like, anyway, so like, you know, I mean, like, stop touching the button already, for gosh sakes. So, now that the shut up button is unpressed, let's get started today, everybody. So I don't know how long my button was pressed, but for those who are watching, we're doing membership readings today. So if you're interested in having your chart read, be sure to join the membership on my channel that I showed by going to my channel, looking underneath the heading, and joining the channel. It costs about $3 a month to join. Okay, sweet. Thanks, Lucas. But yeah, let's get started, everybody. For those who are watching live, let's have our members who are watching. Everybody, now is your chance to put in your birth time, your birth date, and your birthplace. And if we have any members here who are here, now's your chance to put your birth time, date, and place in, and you are about to get a free reading for the day. I usually say it's going to take about like half an hour, especially with the big three, you know. I like to try and make it so that as many people as possible get the reading. But we're going to see how it goes. I'm a Scorpio with Leo rising. It usually ends up being a whole thing. You're desperately trying to join at the moment. Rum Fluff. Okay, let me know how it goes, Rum Fluff. Sweet Monica. So let's get everybody now. We've got Toxica, we've got Monica, and we've got Lucas. Thanks, Lucas. So Monica and Toxica, feel free to throw in your birth date, your birthplace, and your birth time. Hello, Hosianov. Congratulations, you are now joined to the channel. So Hosianov, now you have a chance to throw in your birth date, time, and birthplace as well. No worries, Rum Fluff. I'll try to give you a moment here. So Lucas has thrown in his birth time, and birth date, and birthplace. Now let's get Hosianov. If you'd like to have a reading today, you can do the same. Everybody, you can see what Lucas has done on the chat. He has thrown in his birth information. So if you want to get a reading, feel free to do your birth information. Awesome, Hosianov. I'm glad that worked out for you. Oh, I guess I've got commercials going during the live. I think that's just, that's how I've got it programmed to go here, Michael. So we have one birth time, one birth information who is in the chat right now. I'll say again, for all members who are watching, Monica, I know you've already given me your birth time before, and I'm sure I have your chart on one of my computers, but because I'm on a specific computer, I do need the birth time and place and all of that stuff. Okay, Hosianov, you're on here. So for Michael Angel Escalante, yes, today we are doing a members only for this reading. So in order to join as a member, you've just got to go and check out the membership on my channel by going to my channel and looking underneath the heading. You should find somewhere that you can join the channel. And it's $3 a month. By joining the channel, you get to have readings like this once in a while live. as well as to support me in the work that I'm doing. Thank you, Mo, and thank you, Toxica. So now we have a few people who have joined. Interested in a reading, but you're not a member. Can I get one once you're done with the members? So, Michaela, today we're doing a membership only. Of course, Michaela, you might be, for today in particular, for our live readings, we are interested in doing membership. Now, if you are interested, you can email me at astrology@dustincormier.com. Yeah. If anybody is interested, if they are not a member and they are interested in a reading, you can feel free to join me through email. You can email me and we'll do a reading that I typically do, So I do actual readings live, for a living. And if you're interested in doing a real reading with me, you can feel free to join me there by emailing me. Sorry, it's not a joining me that you have to do at that point. That would simply allow me to have a reading with you. All right, sweet. I'm just getting my stuff all together. Okay, sweet. So hopefully you guys can still see me here. Good. I'm making it work with this crazy situation I have, this sort of makeshift situation. Michael Angel Escalante. So, Michaela, you're asking if that would be an in-person reading, and the answer is yes. I don't just do reports. Whenever I do an in-person reading, I charge $200, and then I read your chart for a set amount of time beforehand, and then I meet with you and do a reading live, one-on-one. Now, you can email me at astrology@dustincormier.com, or you can go to dustincormier.com and check out my astrology session to see what that's all about and what's entailed there. Congratulations, Michael. You are now a member, my friend. Now, Michael, if you're interested in a reading, since you've just joined, you can throw in your birth time. Excellent, and there it is. Right on. So congratulations, Michael. You have now joined, and now you have a chance for a reading today, a live reading. So, folks, it's nice to have Thurs as well as Michael joining us for our live readings today. Now, remember, our intention today is to go through the Big Three, the Tropical Vedic Big Three. So if you're a member and you've already gotten a reading from me, you still have a chance to get a very different reading today, something that you've probably never done. Even those who have gotten the 3-minute video are still going to get something out of this that you wouldn't typically get. And that's what I'm trying to do for our memberships here. So thank you. Hello, Rumfluff, my dear. It's a real pleasure to have you as a member as well. Thank you for taking the time, Rumfluff, to join us in our membership today. Now, Rumfluff, you now have a chance to join for our reading. Awesome. So 24th, January 1st. That must be March 24th, 1972. Now, for those who are watching, it's recommended, and thank you, Lucas. My friend Lucas here is holding it down for us here. It's recommended, everybody, when you do astrology, if you are interested, if you have your birth time, having the birth time as well as the birth date and the birthplace. The birth time is what allows you to have what's called your ascendant. Awesome. Okay, so thank you, Rumfluff. Rumfluff has thrown in her birth time as well. Now for Michael Angel Escalante, if you don't have your birth time, you can still get a reading here and we're going to still do something for you. But it's recommended if you can ever get a chance to get your birth time, you can go a lot deeper with an astrology reading. Nice. Great job, Michael. And thank you, Lucas, for always holding it down for us here. So we've got a lot of members here. What I'm going to do is quickly scratch down the names just so I can have an easier job of going through them. So we had Lucas first, and then we had Hosyanov, then we had Monica, then we had Toxica, then we have Michael, and then we have Rumfluff. And it's very nice to have you guys being a part of the membership. Thank you for being a part of this. And thank you for supporting me and what I do on this channel. It's highly, highly appreciated for me. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing here. And I love to do it. Spreading the knowledge of consciousness through astrology. Now, I'm just making sure that we're not missing anybody. And it looks like we're okay. So we have Lucas, Hosyanov, Monica, Toxica, Michael, and Rumfluff. Okay, so everybody, I have it all down now, as you can see. Congratulations. These folks are now about to be, somebody is about to be chosen for our first reading today. I'm going to pick a number. With a short list like this, I'm still going to pick something funky, like 17. 17 is a weird number. 17 doesn't make any sense. It's completely unsensible for me to pick that number. Nobody would ever pick that number. It's a ridiculous number. So that's the one we're going to choose. I'm going to start in the middle, and then I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go down, and I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go down, until we land on our first reading of the day. Okay, so I'm going to start counting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now, I know that you mentioned that you've already gotten a reading before, but you just got another one. Our friend Hosyanov was chosen for the reading today. That is Hosyanov. Congratulations. You have been chosen. You are the chosen one. Oh, wah, wah, wah. You have been chosen once again, Hosyanov. Congratulations. This is how we roll around here, folks. So I'm going to try, because we've got quite a few members hanging out here, as well as we have 2 new members. So I'm going to do my best to squeeze the most sensible reading that is possible into our reading today. So I'm going to put a timer on it for half an hour. What always happens is that we end up going really deep, and when we go deep, I'm like, it's the depth that we're looking for in a reading. But I'm going to do my best to squeeze something into this reading in a half an hour. It's a good challenge for me, actually. That's one of the reasons I like to do this, folks. So, congratulations, Hosyanov. I hope I'm saying your name right, or well enough. So, let's get started with our first reading of the day. Hosyanov. All right, sweet. So let's see here. Okay, we have October 1st, 1996. October 1st, 1996. At 11:17 a.m. Hosyanov, it's hard for me to tell by your picture. It looks like I see the silhouette of a man's figure. Not that it really matters, especially for something like that. I always like, because Venus is my ruling planet, I often include gender and the psychology of gender as a part of my readings. So, Hosyanov, let me know if you are a male or a female, or if you identify as any sort of gender in between, or anything. as well as your sexual orientation, if you should feel like it. That usually gives me a little bit better of a clue of the consciousness of a person in terms of their romantic intentions and ways of being. Damn, we do get a lot of these stupid commercials, don't we? Maybe I've got too many commercials on here. Male is correct. All right. Now, just to let you know, Hosianov, I get a lot of people. I'm bisexual myself, and I get a lot of people who are have those sorts of orientations. If you have any way of being other than just a straight heterosexual male, feel free to let me know. It'll give us a different sense of how to orient ourselves in the reading. Otherwise, yeah, so if you're a straight dude or if you lean towards anything else, let me know. But for now, we have our first reading in check today, folks. I'm going to maybe put my phone right here where I can somewhat see it. I've got my water. I got all my things. Okay. Mostly attracted to women. Awesome. All right. Perfect, Hosianov. So, it looks like you guys can see me here, and I can see you. Now, what I would like would be really nice is if I can get a little picture of myself. Video capture. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, okay. Alright, I know what I need to do here. So you guys will just have to give me 1 second. I'm going to add a source. Video capture. Device. Do. Alright, so. I'm just going to take a moment to see if I can wrangle getting myself seen here. If this takes forever, then I'm just going to kind of ditch it. Open source project. What is happening? Order. Transform. Why can't I see it? This will only be a second. Don't worry, folks. I'm still here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. All right. Okay. Video capture device. Create new. Make it visible. Configure video. Capture audio. Why? Configure video. Okay, I'm over it. Over it. Dang, that's annoying. Okay. Whatever. Alright, so you guys are just going to have to see me what I'm doing on here. That's no big deal. Okay, so Hosianov. Cool. Right. So Hosianov, you're probably a little bit like me. I'm mostly going for women as well, but I'm bisexual, right? But I'm very open to whatever a person is going through and whatever they're into on here. But it sounds like you're mostly into women. So I'm gonna roll with that and abide by what you've said there. Okay, so hopefully I'm not losing you guys. Yes, sorry. Okay, this is our first reading of the day, folks. And it's official. Now, let me know, Hosianov, if this is looking like your chart, I have you as Scorpio rising at about 14 degrees. And your moon looks like it's in Rohini, which is a very happy place for the moon, the nakshatra of Rohini. Now, I'm going to put us at a half an hour. Now, let's start moving through and doing our first reading of the day. Now, before we do, here's what I'd like to do. All right, I know how I'm going to do this. Okay, so hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you. So, our first part of this reading, yes, the half an hour timer has started, and what we're going to do in order to begin our first part of this reading for today, I can still see you guys in the chat. Now, what I'd like to do first is, all right, I got this figured out. So, as we can see here, our friend Hosianov has the moon in the sign of Gemini. And this is going to be a very important part of our Vedic Big 3 series. The real foundation of what I've been moving through with the Vedic Big 3 is the moon's nakshatra. And I've been learning a lot about the moon's nakshatras as I've been going along. Now, sadly, the truth is that I don't have the typical texts that I would usually learn about the nakshatras through. Now, as a Scorpio rising always has a bit of toughness with the moon anyway, because the rising sign is, it emulates and puts out there the consciousness of whatever planets are debilitated there. So Scorpio rising, Scorpio is where the moon is debilitated. So let's just start a little bit right there. It's worth mentioning that when we have a Scorpio rising chart, there's always going to be this experience of your rising sign emanates the sign where the moon is debilitated. So all Scorpio risings operate in a way that is not energizing for the moon. Although you have a nice 7th house when it comes to the moon. Do you guys understand that? This is the first thing that I'm going to say in this video. These are things that we learn as we go along. So Scorpio rising, their energy is, it's almost antagonistic to the way the moon likes to operate somewhat. But they find that they get partners through the 7th house. They get partners who are a little bit more, like their partners teach them how the moon is supposed to operate, which is in partnership, which is in togetherness. I have a hard time with my microphone here. Because Taurus rules the moon, and Taurus rules the 7th house for Scorpio rising. So we have this moon, wherever it's going to be in this chart. The moon for Scorpio rising rules the 9th house. We have it in the 8th house of Gemini, where the moon likes to be by sign. The moon's going to have a little bit of delight in the sign of Gemini. Let's just take a quick peek at our Shadbala here. Okay, looking pretty good. The moon and Venus are both pretty happy in Shadbala. It's a little higher up. It doesn't have the Digbala that it would like, nor the Ayanabala. But it's got 115% of what it would usually need in order to operate at its best. It's in the 8th house in the sign, and it looks like it's in the sign of Rohini, the nakshatra of Rohini. It's on the first pada, which means that it might be worth us checking whether this is exactly the sign or not. So I want to explain these things as I go along, because this is, I want you guys to know how we are doing what we're doing here. So the moon's nakshatra is of the 27 classic Vedic constellations. When we're looking for the moon's nakshatra, it's the place where the moon is amongst the 27 classic Vedic constellations. So this is something that is very important for anybody who is, well, this is how we understand the moon's nakshatra. And when we look up the moon's nakshatra, it's often cuspy. A lot of the videos that I've been doing, the 3-minute Tropical Vedic Big 3 videos, oftentimes we find a person who's cuspy. So I'm using Ernst Wilhelm's Kala software, and he has a certain ayanamsha that defines where in space these nakshatras are. Because I'm a Tropical Vedic astrologer, it's not, back in the old days, when they used sidereal astrology, it was more set in stone. Even Vic Dakara uses, he's tropical, but he uses a positioning of the nakshatras that are all equal pieces. Ernst Wilhelm's nakshatra positions are slightly different and nuanced. So what I invite everybody to do, including our friend Hosianov here, when we talk about your moon nakshatra, keep in mind that other people might give you a different nakshatra. But I'm using Ernst Wilhelm software, and Ernst Wilhelm software considers you to be Rohini moon. Now, I want to check right now to see if you're really on a cusp in Ernst Wilhelm's system, in which case you've just got to keep in mind that this is an experimental reading. That's what we have to do for everybody here, because it's just the nature of using the nakshatras in modern times. This is something that this is like a nuanced thing in astrology that we modern astrologers are trying to get tight. So anyway, you have Rohini moon at 2 degrees 50 minutes of Gemini. What I'm going to do is change the birth time and go back just to see if you're really close to the cusp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. Right. So it looks like Kritika moon begins at about like 1 degree of Gemini. And you are at about 2 degrees and 50 seconds of Gemini, 50 minutes. So you're kind of on a cusp there, but I would call you Rohini moon. So we got what we need here. Remember, this is a little bit cuspy, and keep in mind that when we learn about Rohini moon for you, you have to feel it out and see how it feels with you. See if it resonates with you. So now we are talking about Rohini moon. I've got to use my phone for this. I feel like a millennial. It's like I'm live and I'm like, okay, everybody, I'm going to go on my phone and check it out. But it is what it is. Maybe what we could do, this is probably the better way to do it. Yeah, all right. So, just so you guys know, whenever I'm looking up, anything, one of the things I've been using is I'll go like this. Dennis Harness Nakshatra. And he has this wonderful article where he gives the energy and consciousness of the nakshatras in this big old list. And he kind of talks a little bit about all of them. This is going to give us a little sense of what your nakshatra is all about, just for us to start, just for something for us to start chewing on and beginning on. I've done my own research on Rohini. I've done my own series on all of the nakshatras. I'm not fully through it yet, but Rohini is one that we've done. And so this is going to help jumpstart us back into the understanding of what Rohini is all about. So, Rohini is called the Star of Ascent. Now, we hear that the symbols are a chariot, a temple, and a banyan tree. Rohini provides movement towards the divine, as well as a place of worship. The sacred banyan tree is the home of the goddess of the ancient Indus Valley civilization. Rohini is considered to be it's considered to be the moon's favorite wife. There's a reason why I shouldn't have even mentioned it, but it's because in sidereal astrology, Rohini is the place where the moon is exalted. In today's time, it's not. But I digress. It has a human temperament with the primary motivation of moksha, or spiritual liberation. The Shakti experienced here is the ability to foster growth and creation. So I gotta write some of these down. Moksha is the motivation. It's a human sort of temperament. Growth and creation. It is considered to be in fact, Victakara has a Rohini moon as well, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Rohini career interests include fashion designers, models, and actors. So fashion, modeling, acting, art, poet, writer, music, dance, restaurant, hotel stuff. There's a word for that. Service industry. Agriculture, herbs, real estate, politicians and consultants. Okay, cool. So that's a good start. Now, the last thing I want to do is Rohini Nakshatra. There's another one that I was using. Damn, I was just looking it up the other day. Okay, got it. Shakti. This was it, right here. So this is another of the pages that I've been using to observe the nature of the nakshatras. This one's leaning on Dr. David Frowley. So you just look up vedanet.com/shaktis of the nakshatras, as you can kind of see that I sort of did on Google. I just looked up Rohini Nakshatra Shakti. So Dr. David Frowley is good as well. He kind of brings things back down to what we've seen in the Taittiriya Brahmana Sutras. The example is here. Rohini is ruled by Prajalpati, the creator of the Lord of creatures, which is Brahma. Rohini's power is growth. Its basis above is plants, and its basis below is waters. The result of these three is creation. So that's very interesting. Plants, there's a lot of metaphorical energy described in each of these words that we would have to digest. Rohini is all about growth and creation, fertility and creativity. It can evoke some degree of jealousy because others may resent that a person gains this sort of abundance. Rohini can increase desire, but these are side effects to its great prosperity. Brahma is the creator who bestows everything, so we should be careful of what we want. Ultimately, Rohini is benefic, helps others to flourish and ascend. So, a theme of others being jealous of you can be a thing. And what we read here is increasing desire. Okay, good. And this is also a sign that's good for procreation, which is, of course, having kids. So, fuck. I thought that you guys were seeing what I was looking at. That's really annoying. Oh well. So just so everybody sees what I'm looking at here, this is the Shaktis of the Nakshatras by Dr. David Frowley. God damn it, whatever. See, I gotta start looking. I gotta start looking at my screen to make sure that I am displaying what I intend to display. That's hilarious. Is this a Temu reading? Okay, let's see. So now I'm just reading my comments here. Yeah, I knew that Vic had his moon in Rohini. Do you mean like helping people? So there is some truth in the desire for Rohini to have a sexual nature. Hospitality is really what I was looking for there. Thanks, Anda Soulmate. So Rohini has this character of increasing desire. I wish I should have been sharing my screen there, but whatever. That's okay. Story of my life. We see in this character of Rohini is somebody whose ultimate desire is moksha and liberation. Rohini is considered a very benefic space. It's important for growing together and connecting with people and with loved ones. And there's a real, they are somebody who their foundation above is plants, which means they like to be a grower. They like to be a builder of things, a initiator who can come together with people, sort of know the interests of all the people involved, and connect them together to grow something that is bigger than any individual person. And this brings water, which is sort of a juiciness, which is sort of an emotional, and there's an increasing of the water, which can mean passion. So, especially with all the art, dance, writing, and music that is kind of ascribed to this personality, this sort of connection and human connection is very natural to Rohini moon. Now, it's interesting for this to be moving through the chart of somebody who is a Scorpio rising. The moon here is pretty happy in Rohini, so it's really going to help to ameliorate some of what we see with the Scorpio rising personality. Now, it's interesting that we have, the next part of our reading is that we have the Atmakarika is Venus, and the Venus falls into, let's see, so Venus is in Leo, and that's a tough place for Venus to be. It's also tough for it to be in the 10th house, and it's with malefic Mars. Now, this is, there's something very interesting going on here, actually. Yeah. Okay, right. So I'm really seeing some key depth and important pieces of this chart. We have this Venus in Leo, and the sun is in Libra, which means that Venus and the sun are in a Parivartana yoga. That's between the 10th Lord and the 12th Lord, which means there's going to be a deep and important need for this person to work very hard. And by working hard, there will be an experience of loss for this person. Secretly wishing to be a model. I get it. And you might do well with that, Hosianov. But there is some karma, there's some karma involved with career with you. That's very, very clear in this chart. Particularly because the sun is debilitated in Libra. It's debilitated in the 12th house, and it's with Chiron, and more importantly, the North Node. It's also a bit tough that Saturn is in Aries opposite the sun, in the sign of Aries where it's debilitated. So we have Sun and Saturn debilitated and opposite each other, with the nodes involved there. Now, thankfully, Saturn has a trine from its friend Venus, and it's got an angle from its friend Mercury as well. But the Sun and Saturn are the really key, difficult players in this chart. Now, more to the point of our main three, we have Venus Atmakarika. Now, let's just digest this for just a moment. I often get a lot of people who I do readings for, who are Venus Atmakarika, because I'm Venus Atmakarika. So us Venus Atmakarikas, this really plays in more to this point of Rohini moon. I'd say that there's a positivity that comes from a synergy that comes from the Venus Atmakarika with the Rohini moon, with the moon in Rohini Nakshatra. Because they're both oriented towards love, creativity, luxury, beautiful things, art, sensitivity, and the increase of passion. Now, for a Venus Atmakarika, whatever's going on with Venus in the chart is going to say something about how it goes for this person. And Venus in this chart, it's got nice Shadbala, but there are indications really obviously that by being in the sign of Leo, this Venus is starved a little bit. We might find that the sun is so focused on its work and on its career, and there's an egotism here that is worth digesting and moving through for yourself. It's kind of like, the thing is too, is that the sun is in the 12th house in Libra, and that's where the sun is debilitated. The sun is also starved by Venus. So we could almost kind of say that when you are acting out in a sense of, I need to do something with my life and my career, especially as a man, when you say to yourself, I've got to do something to prove to my father that I'm not a piece of shit, to prove to my family that I've got something, that I'm carrying my family line, that I'm worth something. Whenever you go to identify with your solar energy, when you sacrifice towards something that's worth sacrificing for, you might find you're incapable of doing it, or that it's hard to do it because you have such a desire for Venus. Venus is supposed to be like the water that we drink along the way up the mountain. So it's relationships, it's lovely things, it's feeling satisfied. Sometimes with the sun, we have to do what we got to do, even when it's not satisfying. Even when we have to, as men, sometimes we have to say to our wives, honey, I can't hang out and talk about our psychology and our relationship together because I've got to do this thing on my job. I've got to get in with the union. I've got to get in with whatever job it is, and I got to focus on it. So by focusing on your job, you reduce your ability to enjoy Venus. Venus being in Leo in the 10th house, where Venus isn't that happy, you probably have learned to almost enjoy your work, and you enjoy working so much it can almost become like a workaholic energy. The workaholic picture of Venus in Leo is kind of strong there. So, this energy can be something that you, as somebody who's Rohini moon, you have a desire to increase your desire. That increase of passion is something that should be guiding you, which means that you could be somebody who is an artistic person with an artistic flair that gets into something like the modeling world, the art world, film, and you have an artistic flair that people see, that people sense, and you apply it to your career, which is something that can be constructive for you. But at some level, there's an indication, because Venus is in the 10th house, the sun is in the 12th house, there will be a need to work and to support others in your career, where there's going to be a little bit of a loss of career energy, and there's going to be a little bit of a loss of your love life. It's a tricky position, especially for that Scorpio rising. It's a tricky position where you're going to feel like you're being eroded on both sides. I can't be fully happy in my career because I neglect my love life. But I can't be fully happy in my love life because I'm focused on my career. And these two are going to kind of eat each other. It'd be worth mentioning, really, that you have, again, if I was to do another deeper, I've probably already done this for you if I've done a reading for you, Thurs Nov. I've probably done a reading for you where I described that you have the sun in the 12th house, and the lord of the 12th house is Venus in the 10th house. So the 10th and 12th lords are in a mutual parivartana. And that's when these two are feeding into each other. Especially because the sun is with Rahu. That's very interesting. The Amakaraka is Venus. So a very key part of this person's life, we have to understand that, okay, let me just do this. We're making it work here, folks. I'm not at my usual computer, but we're making it work. When we have an Atmakaraka, the planets that are falling into the signs ruled by that Atmakaraka are going to play a big part of our consciousness. Whatever's going on there is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a huge part of who we are, a huge part of what we're working out in this life. You are Venus Atmakaraka, which means what are the signs that Venus rules? For a Scorpio rising, there's this very deep passion streak where Venus rules the 7th house and it rules the 12th house. You know, I've got a video describing each of the rising signs. You know, hey there, David. Nice to see you. So in the video where I describe all of the rising signs, I go through each of the planets for every rising sign. And I talk about, for the Scorpio rising video, I talk about how Venus, the same planet that rules the 7th house of Taurus, right? And this is whole sign house astrology. Venus rules the 7th house of Taurus and the 12th house of Libra, right? So this means that whatever's going on with love for Scorpio, that's what we say about Scorpio, is it's got the tail. What does that tail do? You know, some scorpions are like bees. As soon as they sting something, they die. So a scorpion has this crazy this evolutionary thing where they got this tail that they launch themselves into whatever they're going into to the point that they die. Now, the 12th house is an important house of death in this way. And just think of it. The same planet that rules the 12th house of death and loss and surrender is the same planet that rules the 7th house of a fair marriage. So Scorpio often really loses themselves in their relationship. But this is how they are. They like to sacrifice huge chunks of themselves for their relationship. It's interesting and tough and ironic that they live for their career in a lot of ways. Scorpio is such a career-driven person because Leo rules the 10th house. That's the sun's consciousness. Scorpio rising permeates with Leo as the 10th house position. So this is a person who allows themselves to die in their relationships. Now, in the case of a Scorpio rising, where the sun and Venus are in a parivartana, which means they're in each other's signs. The sun is in Libra in the 12th, and Venus is in Leo in the 10th. What we really see is that this is somebody who really lives for the relationships that are in their career. And it's probably important for you to have good relationships with whatever you're doing in your career so that you enjoy it, so that your career doesn't make you want to kill yourself. You know, like it's this intensity of an energy where you're either completely enriched by the increase of passion in everything that you do, or else passion is a bitch. You know, there's a wonderful song by a guy named Tom Waits. Anybody know Tom Waits? He does a lot of cool things. Very artistic guy. Very weird guy. Hello there, Sunsold. Nice to see you. And Tom Waits has this song, and it's called You Could Never Hold Back Spring. And the whole song, he's got this warbling, Tom Waits has got this deep, weird, warbling voice. And he's almost like he got an alcohol fueled voice. It's off his album called Orphans, and the whole song he's saying, you know, he's afraid for the oncoming of spring. But he keeps saying to himself, you could never hold back spring. You can't stop spring from coming. This is a Rohini moon for whom spring keeps coming. And spring is the onset of the increase of passion, of the desire to live in the richness of love and passion and to be fueled by it. That's our 30-minute mark, but we're going to finish this. The Rohini moon desires to be enriched by the passion of life and to funnel it into career. But if you funnel it so much into your career that you don't connect it to a real, true lived life, a lived, vital relationship life and love outside of your career and in your real life, then it's important for you to be able to do that. It's important for you to have a Venus, a truth, a close to home relationship capacity outside of your career. Now, Venus fuels your career with having this passion in your life, and it's okay to flow with that. Feel that out, make peace with that. It might change in different ways at different times. What's really tricky, though, is that having Rahu, as you do, right? We can see Rahu is with the Sun and Chiron in Libra in that 12th house. There's a real indication that you're probably going to, there's indications of some weakness in your Sun in your chart. And so there's probably a chance that because, especially with the Rahu, it's a part of this increasing, a part of this, even a jealousy theme, a feeling like I'm not good enough like other men to do what I have to do to fully follow through with my career or to fully be a man and to connect with women in a way that impresses them and that makes them happy. Now, this is a theme that, because you're a Venus Atmakaraka, the consciousness of yourself as a man in relationship with other sexual beings in a sexual way is going to be a big part of your vitality. And this doesn't mean that you have to be a necessarily sexual person. Venus Atmakaraka needs to just be consciously aware of their vital passion, their vital energies. And you being a man and your involvement with the energy fields of other people, however that goes for you, is a part of your Venus. Remember, Venus is like Lakshmi. It's prosperity. Venus is prosperity, folks. And remember, prosperity is different from wealth. If you have $1 million on an island, on a deserted island, you're by yourself, you've got $1 million in $100 bills. What's that $1 million going to do for you? It's going to be ass wipe. It's probably going to be good kindling for your bonfire. That $1 million of wealth means nothing. Prosperity is not money. Prosperity is having your needs met when you need them. That's Venus. That's the water. Venus is this feeling that I'm not dry. I'm satisfied. It's like the padding under your shoes that allows you to walk farther, faster, stronger up the mountain of your sun, of your life, of your career, what you're doing with yourself. So having your needs met is very key for Venus Atmakaraka. That's your rising, that's your ruling planet. And the theme of finding a balance in career and your personal love life and having a bit of even a romance in your career, if that's fueling you. But if you have so much romance going into your career, it's going to be hard for you. You know, imagine if you've got some kind of connection with your work life and, you know, with people in your work life, whatever, or even like it could be like you're in a band, you know, you're in a band or you're in the modeling business and you use your sexual charisma to make connections with people, and you can have all sorts of throbbing connections that build your career and allow you to serve this career more. Imagine you've got all that, and then you meet a girl at a bar, and all of a sudden you fall in love with her, and you want her to be this thing that you whip your scorpion tail at, but it's like, honey, I can't. I'm banging, like the people in my work life, That tension is probably something that you've got to experience that you could experience, and that is good to make peace with. While you're young, feel it out. But when you get into your 30s, love is going to become less of this like frivolous thing and more of something that's going to connect you to something bigger than the passion itself, which is dharma, which is your true purpose in life. And this will be an important theme as time comes along. Now, the last thing I want to say is that in this chart, Venus is the Atmakaraka, and Venus in the Navamsha chart falls into the sign of Sagittarius, which you have Pluto in Sagittarius. I often get readings for people who have that because, again, I got lots of Sagittarius in my chart. So your Sagittarius Swamsha, the key is a fall from a great height, which means you get to great heights, and then you fall, and then you climb again, and then you fall again. Particularly because of the Sun and Saturn in this axis of opposition for you, whether in their debilitation points and they're with the nodes, I would really highly recommend you consider that there's probably themes of failure and abandonment and feelings of like, I'm a piece of shit and I'm not good enough that might come from your childhood, might come from your connection with your father. Perhaps your father was a little bit more tough on you, or your family expected you. You might be like an only child. You might feel that the world expects you not to fail. And when you do fail, it's like, oh, I knew it. This is confirming everything that everybody said, that I'm a piece of shit, that I'm not a strong man, that I'm not going to be able to ever make something of myself. I can't hold anything solid. And I'd invite you to consider that those are conditioned thoughts. Anybody who ever has success in life, they climb, and then they fail, and then they climb, and then they fail, and it's like, yeah, that's what you do. It's not a big deal. They don't have childhood trauma that exacerbates the conditioned response of feeling like a failure and a piece of shit. So if you have that, keep in mind, because of Sagittarius, life is going to pull you by the nose to keep trying and to keep failing if that's what happens to you. And to don't take it personally, because the Sagittarius in you has a Plutonian element to it. Sagittarius is your Swamsha. And you are somebody who needs to embody the climbing towards what your truth and passion is. You have a truth in you. You have some performance that you want to do, some height that you want to climb to. You need to use your Venus, your self-satisfaction, the water, in order to climb there. And you need to find this in a balance of having a stable career, having a stable, meaningful life. All of these things need to be in a balance for you to keep climbing and falling and climbing and falling without taking it personally. And that's what I see as the main theme of the Tropical Vedic Big 3 in your chart. I hope that that's clear, Hosianov. There's a lot there. There's a lot there to digest. But Hosianov, thank you. Let me know if this resonated with you. Indeed. You've got a good chart here. There's not a lot of, when you look inside of like the Shadbala, for example, everything's pretty happy chappy in this chart. The tough thing, if there is a tough thing, Venus is a bit tough. Saturn's actually not too bad. Saturn likes to be in the 6th house. It's close to the 7th house cusp. It's past, it's actually in Taurus in the Navamsha chart, which is a real break. A good break, that's a positive thing too. Now you're going through your Saturn return soon, when Saturn comes into Aries, And then around 2028, you're going to start coming into Sadhisati as well, which is when Saturn goes behind the moon, then it goes into the sign the moon is in, and then it goes into the sign ahead of the moon. So all of that is going to be relevant, especially while you're in the Rahu Mahadasha. So there's a lot there to digest. But, ultimately, while there is some stuff in this chart that shows a little bit of, everybody's got a little bit of difficulty to move through in their chart. Got some interesting things, especially the moon being opposite Pluto. With that moon in Rohini opposite Pluto, is probably going to be, there's going to be some struggle at some point with this theme of being passionate in your life, growing things, growing a relationship, and possibly even growing children. But all of these things add up to who you are and what you've been through. And remember that what you've been through doesn't necessarily define who you are. You can always take the consciousness that you have and use the skills and talents that you have to move forward with it. The Rohini moon is a great space for the moon. And using your talent of loving people and nurturing people might allow you to get certain types of love in your life that allow you to soothe yourself past the nervous tension of childhood or whatever might have happened to you while you were younger, to allow you to see the love and the carrot that draws you forth and pulls you out of the limitations that you might have experienced. But again, everybody has these things. Sag Swamsha, not Virgo. And some sadness, melancholy, like something is missing. Relationships, and what should I do? Yeah, well, I wonder what made you think that you were Virgo. I wonder if there was some point when we did a reading and you might have thought that you were Virgo for some reason. Now I'm checking to make sure that I have the right birth time here. October 1st, 1996 at 11:17 a.m. Belgium. Yeah, looks like we're right. But yeah, you're Sagittarius Swamsha. And I can see the 12th house stuff would be difficult. The sadness and melancholy will occasionally hit you, especially because Venus is going to get dried out by putting so much of its energy into career. Especially for someone like this, it's good for you, especially as Venus at Makaraka. One of the things that I think is going to help with the feeling of sadness and difficulty is to rest and to look into your psyche and discover what it is that you are and what is about you that brings the happiness that would sustain you. It's interesting that, again, with this 10th and 12th house connection, you might be somebody who has the capacity to, you've got some 12th house energy that's signified there. And your 12th house might be draining. So it's good for you to be conscious of reeling yourself in once in a while, trying to get a hold of your mind. Because you'll find that the mind is the thing that can drain you. Where it goes spins and spins and spins to the point where all your energy, it's like Sonic getting hit and all the coins disappear. Sonic the Hedgehog, all the coins go everywhere because your mind gets so squirreled. There's almost an ADHD signature. For a lot of people between 1996 and the beginning of 1999, when Saturn was going through Aries, but also there's a few things in your chart that signify almost an ADHD-ish kind of consciousness. Getting a hold of that by developing a circadian rhythm. Especially having Saturn in the 6th house, you're going to find that there's a strength that comes from having a rhythm, a routine. It's just a bit tricky for you because you've got Ketu in the 6th house with Saturn. So this is going to be a theme that you've always got to eternally work out. And it won't ever feel fully satisfying to have a routine. You wake up, you shower, you have a certain good food, good diet, good smaller breakfast, bigger lunch, and then dinner is the smallest meal. Don't eat too much at the end of the night. Allow yourself to have that fast. There's an intermediate fasting. Don't eat after 6 p.m. so you're not sitting with a boulder in your belly. And then you wake up hungry enough to have a good breakfast. Grip that shit. That's going to be a huge part of you developing a rhythm. It won't exactly cure the depression that you're feeling, but it's the first start of getting a hold of your vital forces. Then once you have your vital forces in order, then you don't have any brain fog. Then you can start to experiment with what will make you happy. There's a lot there. But everybody, there's always lots there for everybody, But for now, Thurs Nov, thank you, my friend. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for being a part of the show today and for volunteering to have this reading. I hope it was satisfying for you, and I hope that it has given you a little bit of clarity. Now, awesome. Let's give Thurs Nov a nice little golf clap. Yes, well done. Very well, very excellent. I appreciate you being a part of the show, Thurs Nov. And for everybody else who's watching, we got 13 people hanging out with us today. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Now, we have a few more people hanging out here still. What do you guys say? David, it's nice to have you here as well. You're a member. Let's move forward now. Let's go into our next reading for the day. Now, for those who are watching and who are interested, I appreciate you all being here. astrology@dustincormier.com. So, if any of you are interested, feel free to email me at astrology@dustincormier.com, and that's where you can get a full, deep reading. When I do these readings live like this, I'm kind of going off my cuff, right? When I do a real reading, I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours diving through your whole chart, really piecing together everything that I see, and doing a deep dive on your life purpose and who you are and everything I see in your chart. So if you're interested in that, you can email me at astrology@dustincormier.com, or if you're like, you can still you can check me out at dustincormier.com. And if you go onto my astrology section there, you'll be able to check that out. A full reading is $200 US. So you would be able to see that if you go on dustincormier.com. You go to the astrology section, and you'll be able to see all of what I talk about when I do a reading there, if anybody is interested. And as well, for the sake of it, I love doing this stuff here, folks. And if you'd be interested in sending me any kind of donations on PayPal, I've got the link here in the comments as well for a PayPal. That should take you right to PayPal for that sort of thing. But for now, I'm happy that you guys are all here with me, and that I have members. The memberships really fuel my fire on this show pretty good. So thank you all for being a part of that. Now, we have 11 people here today, still with us. Let's move into our next reading. Let's see. Nice, Michael. So, we are now entering our next reading for the day, everybody. Now, let's do a little roll call here. Who is currently present, who's a member? Now, remember, everybody who's watching, we have 11 people watching, we're currently doing membership readings in this video. So if you would like to be a member, if you'd like to be in the queue for a reading today, then you can go to my channel, How to Rock Astrology, on YouTube. You kind of go beneath the banner, and there's going to be a little button that says join. And when you join, you are supporting me. You'll get occasional membership-specific posts, and you will be able to have also you're supporting me, and you'll be able to join in with readings like the one that we've done today. Sweet. Thanks, folks. Nice to see the roll call here. So we've got Toxica, Rumfluff, Michael, Sunsolt, Lucas, and Monica. So, Hosianov, thanks again for being a part of this with us today. Now, Amanda, I see. Oh, Amanda. Oh, I did get your email, Amanda. Awesome. Well, thank you, Amanda. Thank you for being a part of the reading with us today. So, for those who are watching, this is a membership reading today. So, for all of our members who are here, we're about to do another roll call. We've done our roll call, and we're about to do another reading. So, the reading today is, of course, going to be dedicated to the big three. Now, I'm going to throw in... David was here for a moment, and it looks like he is not here anymore. Now, Sun Salt has joined us. So I'm going to get Sun Salt on here. Sun Sol Tarot. That's what I remember your name was all about. Sun Sol Tarot. So Hosianov is done. So we've got Sun Sol Tarot, Lucas, Monica, Toxica, Michael, and Rumfluff. Awesome, Hosianov. Okay. So let's do another... Okay, folks, we are ready. I'm going to pick another number, and we are going to pick our next victim for the show today. I'm going to go with 19 for this one. 17 was good. Felt good about it. And now we are going to go for 19. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it very much for you being a part of the show and watching us do what we're doing here. So, with all the people that we currently have, we have Sun Sol Tarot, Lucas, Monica, Toxica, Michael, and Rumfluff. If anybody is watching and you're a member, do me a favor and let me know, because we're about to pick our next membership reading for the day. Awesome, Hosianov. You deserve it, my friend, and thank you very much for being a part of our reading today. So we're about to pick our next reading for all of those who are members here in this moment. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go with the number 19. I'm going to start at the bottom of my list. And I got you, Rumfluff. I got you on here as well. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list. We're going to go from 19. We're going to go bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top. And we're going to see who we pick next, folks. Starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We have landed on Sun Sol Tarot. Congratulations, Sun Sol Tarot, my friend. Are you here with us still, Sun Sol Tarot? I'm sure that you are. Yes. Wonderful. Okay, folks, we got our next reading for the day. Congratulations. It's always nice when somebody gets picked. You never know who is going to get picked. It's always a random thing, folks. That's how I like to have it on here, because then everybody gets a chance, you know what I mean? Okay. Congratulations. Now, Sun Sol Tarot, you are chosen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in your birth time. I'm going to get everything set up, and then I'm going to go to the bathroom really quick. All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. Sun Sol Tarot. All right. Nice. Okay, we've got the November 20th, 1966. And this person's born at 3:10 in the morning. Sun Soul Tarot. I don't remember if you identify as male or female or anything in between. So I'm just going to ask you. Let me know if you identify as male or female. South Africa. Johannesburg. I think I remember every time I see you. I think Johannesburg. Angel. Yes, gotcha, Angel. Female. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate you clarifying for me. Transvaal. Okay, perfect. So let's call you Angel. And you're born November 20th, 1966 at 3:10 in the morning. You're a female, South Africa, Johannesburg. I think every time I have you on here, I put in Johannesburg. It reminds me of Sugarman. Johannesburg. He was a really big deal in South Africa. I don't know if you know him, Sixto Rodriguez. There's a great movie on him called Searching for Sugarman. If anybody hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. Now, I have your chart here. Rodriguez, yeah. Rodriguez is sick. All right, so it looks like we're here. So what I'm going to do, everybody, I'm going to go to the bathroom. We're going to take a quick bathroom break. And then when I come back, we are going to continue our reading for Angel today. So I'll see you guys in just a moment. All right. Greetings. Awesome. Okay, everybody. We are here once again to do our next reading for our friend Angel today. Now, I haven't started my clock. This is a birthday gift for you because you got your birthday coming up on November 20th. So happy birthday, Angel. I'm very glad to be doing a little birthday present for you. It's nice to be able to have a skill like astrology to be able to do this sort of thing for people. So today we are doing big 3 readings. And Angel, I would not have done this for you just yet. So we're going to begin by looking up your moon's nakshatra. Well, I'm going to flow around, but what we are going to do is we're going to look up the nakshatra, and we're going to use my phone to dig into. I'm going to show you guys how you guys can go on Google and find a little bit of information on your moon's nakshatra yourself through 2 important sources that I've been using, that I've discovered. I'm going to try as best as I can to make it not like a Temu reading, like Michael mentioned. Michael's got some fire in him, and I do love that. Now, it is worth me saying, I was thinking that I'm going to use my Mercury a little bit here. Let's all be mindful that when we are doing astrology like this, we do tend to go pretty deep. And when we're going deep into a person's reading, it's good for us to keep in mind, especially when we're talking about any vulnerable things, which does happen in an astrology reading, to just let's be mindful of our Mercury. I think that if we're talking about, for example, talking about someone's childhood and we're going into possible things that might have been difficult in their childhood, We are a community who are together doing what we can to support people while they go through a reflection of themselves that astrology can kind of conjure. There's always something good to be found there. But when we're in these places that I go to, I've got a lot of Scorpio in my chart. And when we go into these scorpionic places, it's good to be mindful of our Mercury so we don't say anything that is too exacerbating. Michael, my friend, I know that you're spicy. I've got Sagittarius moon, and I there's a part of me that gets it. But let's be mindful here. We're not at a bar here. We're not having beers and having laughs in public here. We are entering a sacred space where we're allowing people to reflect on themselves. So, most of everybody who watches my channel gets it. And I know, Michael, I think I think you're going to get it too. Let's be mindful of our Mercury and have fun and be in flow. And let's be as respectful as possible as we can. I'm not burning you here, Michael, but for everybody watching, that mindfulness does go a long way when we are in this crucible and having this sacred reflection. Worth mentioning, right? But so far we're having a good time here and we're flowing. But yeah, these are things that I have to say. And I should say, Angel, I know, has already done readings with me. So, but for everybody here, it's okay. It's okay. No worries, Michael. And I appreciate you having your presence here and hearing me out on that. But like I said, when we do astrology, we go deep. I often mention before I do these readings, I should have said it to Hosianov, but Hosianov has done a reading with me before, so they know that we go deep. We're pretty scorpionic in the way I do astrology. That being said, if anybody ever doesn't want to talk about anything, just feel free to mention it. And if I talk about something that presses a button and you don't want to go further with it, you can either say nothing or just say, I don't want to talk about that. And we move on, because this isn't a private reading. We're here to discuss consciousness. So it's important for us to be mindful of our Mercury. It's funny, today's a tough Mercury day because Mercury just went retrograde. It's conjunct Mars and it's square the moon. I was having weird dreams today. So I knew that this would be something worth mentioning, but I should always mention it anyway. But I digress. Now, everybody, let's move forward. And I thank you all again for being here. Yeah, we got to go into that deep Scorpio stuff, That's what we're here for. Let's dig into Angel here. Awesome. I'm glad to see that you know where we're getting at here, Angel. Now, let's begin. What I'm going to do, Angel, I'm going to display your screen here. And here we have Angel, who is a Libra rising. The moon is the Atmakaraka, which means that the nakshatra is going to be even more important. There's going to be a lot that we dig into on that shared theme there. Angel, let me know if you being a Libra rising at about 20 degrees. That's what I've got you as. Let me know if that seems correct to you or if anything seems wobbly or weird there. Now let's see here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a clock on for our 30-minute mark, and we have started. So, okay, good. Libra rising. Let's rock and roll. Now, as we did last time, and this time, Michael, I love you. Michael's keeping me sharp here and making sure. What I want to do is I'm going to actually display my screen so that you guys can see what I'm going to when I'm looking at this stuff. So, let's see here. What we're going to do is we're going to look up first Dennis Harness Nakshatra. And I'm just looking that right up in Google. It's the first thing that comes up for me. It's a little article that was written by Dennis Harness. And when we go down, so there's a little section for each nakshatra that we're kind of conveying here. Now, before we dig into this, obviously what I've got to check. So when we're doing the nakshatra, the moon's nakshatras, obviously when we're doing the moon's nakshatras, it can be kind of tricky to see if something is right on a cusp or not. Different astrologers kind of deal with the nakshatra positions slightly differently. Now it looks like, thankfully, the moon is in the second pada of Shatabhishak, so that means that it's kind of in the middle of the nakshatra. It's not so much on a cusp. So we know that Angel here has the moon in Shatabhishak. So Shatabhishak is interesting. To give myself a quick little balance and reminder of what Shatabhishak is all about. Shatabhishak is ruled, I better check this to be sure. I believe it's ruled by Varuna, and I just want to make sure that I have the right consciousness in that regard. Trishada, 100 healers, Varuna. So we are going to read about this a little bit anyway. What I remember of Shatabhishak from what I've read, I haven't gotten to Shatabhishak yet in my Nakshatra series. It is the 1,000-eyed, 1,000-medicine consciousness and personality. So Shatabhishak, the theme is very much an all feeling, all sensing, all healing sort of consciousness. There's a justice configured into this moon's nakshatra. It's somebody who sees everything from every angle, which can be very it's almost like doing DMT, seeing this 1,000-eyed, biblical Elohim chimera creature that's just sees everything. It's like an Alex Gray painting. Shatabhishak sees all things from all perspectives. And there's with that being the case, human morals and justice don't quite, it can be hard for them to convey. Human morals can be tough to concisely convey true morality. There's times where someone can do something in history that's regarded as being tough and amoral, and morally there's no moral closure on the subject. But then as time goes on, we look back at it and we can see the person doing what they did from their perspective, from their understanding, and although it was tough, it was an important pioneering thing that person did. I just watched with my mom, we watched a documentary series on Martin Scorsese. I don't know if he has Shatabhishak moon. No, I don't think he does. But he has this kind of amorality to him. And that can be a theme with Shatabhishak. But now let's see what our authors who have given us this consciousness have to say about it. Now this is coming from Dennis Harness. And he's mentioning that Shatabhisha is the 100 stars, the 100 healers, the 100 flowers. Hello there, Kekalau. Nice to see you. The primary deity is Varuna, the god of medicine and the cosmic waters, which provides this native with a strong connection to the healing arts. So it's interesting that our friend Angel obviously is interested in tarot. So Varuna is the cosmic man pouring his healing waters into humanity. The astrologer Ronnie Gale Dreyer, and author of Healing Signs, has her natal moon in this powerful nakshatra. The Shakti, the energy of Shatabhishak, is the power of healing. And the symbol is an empty circle reflecting the independent nature and autonomy experienced through this nakshatra. It can be challenging for early marriage. And it can have a love of travel and adventure. It has a Rakshasa temperament. So let's start getting this down. Rakshasa, hard to explain, but what it means is that this is somebody who feels a lot of deep inner, almost sometimes egoic consciousness, that this is something that this person has to conquer through Varuna, who is the old judge in the olden days. They call it almost demonic. And what we mean by demonic is not that you can be possessed or anything like that, but what it more so means is that, it's like daemon, like Daemon, which means there's an internal spirit that looks beyond human morals and human bureaucracy and the red tape of social judgment in order to sometimes do what the soul needs to do. That's part of the consciousness of Shatabhishak. Its primary motivation is dharma, or right action. And we can see that that's part of the consciousness of Shatabhishak. Even just what we've gained here can give us a little consciousness of how Shatabhishak works. It's a Rakshasa nakshatra which has a demonic internal feeling primary quality. And its motivation is dharma, which is virtue, surrender to something bigger than yourself. So there's it's almost like the self is purifying and judging itself in its own action, its own primal motivations, in order to align itself with something in a powerful way that is pure, just, meaningful. Cool. An angel here is indeed a tarot reader who makes potions and lotions and tons of old recipes from her family lineage. She was at sea for 20 years. And the snake, yes, is a symbol of the medicine. And the snake medicine has this Rakshasa quality to it. The snake being a profound symbol of medicine, you're right about that, Angel, as it moves through. It's got this, it's energy, essentially. It's Shakti, really, the snake. It's energy moving through us. And so the Shatabhishak person can be a person who can kind of eyeball and pinpoint what a person's been doing, what's causing you to be now going through the judgment that you're going through. If a person feels jealousy, the Shatabhishak person will read the person's energy and say, what's making you experience this jealousy? Why is the cosmos judging you with this effect? Well, there's a cause, and that cause is the serpent. That cause is whatever you've been doing to invite jealousy into your energy field, right? So Shatabhishak is this person who eyeballs this stuff and helps the person pull it out, right? Just a little bit more about Shatabhishak. Why you do? The next thing you'd look up, folks, if you're interested, you would look up Shatabhishak Nakshatra Shakti. And what you'll find by doing that, eventually you go to the American Institute of Vedic Studies. Now this is something that Dr. David Frawley created. And it's a free little article that in the same way describes the, sort of like our last little reading. This describes a little pinpoint of the nakshatras and their Shakti, their energy. So Shatabhishak is ruled by Varuna, the god of cosmic waters. It's the power of healing. That's Beshaja Shakti. And this reflects upon its name as Shatabhishak, holding 100 medicines. The basis above is sort of what this nakshatra calls into itself. And then its basis below is what comes from that. So its foundation above is extension or pervasiveness over all. This is again the person who has when this person desires to see all to understand things without judgment. That's a key part of the healing that Shatabishak does. Remember, there's the morality of humans, and then there's the Rakshasa daemon quality, which no civilization will ever fully able to understand and deal with. So if a person does something that is messed up, that is worthy of, that they need to forgive themselves for, but they can't go to a doctor, and they don't even want to talk with the doctor about whatever it is that's causing them difficulty and pain and anguish and judgment. You can go to a Shatabishak person, and they will see all pervasively with 1,000 eyes of what you've gone through, and they will support it. Not necessarily they'll support the thing that you did, but they'll understand you. And it's these things that make the world free of calamity. There's a divine grace and repentance necessary. And this is true of themselves. Usually Shatabishak needs to be able to forgive themselves for what they've done. And also this allows them to do this for others. And this is partly how they remove diseases and mental diseases, things that come from mental and emotional anguish. Shatabishak brings a healing crisis that leads to revitalization. It's an important nakshatra for physical and psychological healing through widening our view in life. It helps us overcome weakness. So this is the main theme going on with Shatabishak moon. This is especially important for our friend Angel here, because Angel has the moon as her Atmakaraka, right? Just checking that you guys can see me. Since the moon is the Atmakaraka, when the moon is the Atmakaraka, the moon's nakshatra kind of doubles up in flavor and power. Now, our friend Angel has just given us a little bit of context for herself here. It's an uncanny ability to spot people's pain and suffering and helping them heal. It's what Angel lives for. Stronger now that you've got 59 years behind you. Frustrating, though, when you have this seeing young, right? So when you're young, you are somebody who is dealing with not only seeing the true depths of motivations of people, which can be a pretty wild thing when you're young, you're kind of innocent, and then you see adults, and you can, with your 100 eyes, you can kind of see the motivations in an adult that you know is going to cause them difficulty at some point. You know that it's sometimes immoral. You also know and have sympathy for the fact that there's a reason why this person is this way, because this is their childhood, this is who they are and how they've been. So let's see how the Shatabishak moon plays into the rest of Angel's chart. Now here we have a Libra rising. And interestingly, the moon rules Libra rising's 10th house. So to have the moon Atmakaraka ruling your 10th house as a Libra rising really goes to show that all these things as we related to Shatabishak and to the moon is going to play into your career. So we have here the 10th lord, the moon as the Atmakaraka. It's the 10th lord falling into the 5th house. Especially because we have moon Atmakaraka, and we've already just learned about the Shatabishak theme. Let's take a little moment. I'm going to read from a book here, folks. This is The Art and Science of Vedic Astrology, Volume 2. As you can see, I've been a little bit mean to it, and it's hella falling apart because I use it so much. This book is very good because it gives us the 144 Bhava yogas, which is something I often talk about in my on my channel. What we're going to do, because we're using the whole sign house system, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to see that this is a Libra rising. We know that Cancer rules the 10th house for a Libra, right? Plus the 10th house cusp falls in Cancer. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a reading where we learn, what does it mean when the planet that rules the 10th house, that's the moon, what does it mean when the planet that rules the 10th house is situated in the 5th house. In this case, in Aquarius, in the Shatabishak nakshatra. Before we do that, let's take a quick look at the moon's strength overall. Aha! This is a very happy moon. Overall, all the things that you would want, the Drigbala especially is crazy strong, which probably means that this person's getting lots of benefic aspects. Yep, I got a benefic aspect from Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, and also from its friend the Sun and Mercury. So this moon is delighted by the Sun and Mercury. It's got strong aspects from, let's see, Mercury. Mercury is kind of obviously in sort of a trine to it. That's what's really going on there. Where's Saturn? Saturn's opposite to it. Got it. Saturn is opposite to this moon, which is a very happy thing for this moon. Mercury, sorry. If I said Saturn, I meant Jupiter. Gotta watch my Mercury today, eh? Mercury is in a trine to it technically. Jupiter is opposite this moon. And then Venus seems to be at sort of a happy little squarish sextile thing going on to it. Probably technically a square. Enough for the Venus to be considered to be, because Venus is a benefic. It's in an angle to this moon. So this is all these things together combined with the total Shadbala. This is the strongest Shadbala planet in this chart. So the moon energy as the Atmakaraka is very well supported in this chart. This is awesome. This is great stuff. This really shows that this person is Moon Atmakaraka. And this person wants the Moon Atmakaraka energy to do what it has to do naturally, to flow naturally. And the moon, the Atmakaraka has the support in the chart to do what the moon wants to do. A key part of the moon Atmakaraka person is that the moon gets lovesick. And there's a lovesick quality to them where they can't possibly love a person enough. It's a beautiful energy. If you've ever known anyone who has a strong moon capacities inside them, it usually tends to mean that this is a person who is willing to be lovesick. You know, being in love is almost moving in a way that's like painful to deal with. You know, it bursts you open. I write a lot of poetry about this theme of how love is so important to us all, but it can almost destroy us. But we want to be destroyed by it. You know, if you've ever heard of it, Angel, there's a wonderful poet you might enjoy. What's his name? It's the guy who talks about the threshing floor. It's not Kafka. I think it starts with a K though. Khalil Gibran. Khalil Gibran. And Khalil Gibran has this poem where he describes what love can do to us. And he basically describes that if you don't, love is like being put into this threshing floor. It's, you know, when they thresh the wheat, and it completely obliterates you, shakes you up, makes you think differently about who you are, makes you empathetic to other people, makes you feel the pain of the world. You walk around town and you see a homeless person and you get a shock with that recognition that that person is Krishna, that is Vishnu, that is you in there, suffering, lying on the ground inside of a blanket, huddled up, just begging for some gloves. And an emotional person sees it, feels it, and has to move through that and gets ripped apart by it, by the threshing floor. And what we say about what Khalil Gibran wrote was this thing called the threshing floor. And he said, be careful if you want to get away from the threshing floor, if you want to get away from love, if you try to run away from the feeling of love inside your heart, what will happen is that, you know, you might laugh in life, but you won't laugh all your laughter. And you might cry, but you won't cry all of your tears. Because you're running away from the pain of the threshing floor of emotions of love of the heart. You'll laugh, but not all your laughter. And you'll cry, but you won't cry all of your tears. This moon up Makaraka person, an angel, is somebody who probably laughs all their laughter and cries all their tears. Khalil Gibran, your mother gave you his first book when you were 10 to help you understand love. She knew you deeply. Oh, that's so sweet. And it's amazing that your mother, being the arbiter of the moon, was the person who gave you that book and kind of got you in tune with this theme. So it's a pain that's worth experiencing. The heart. This is true of all of us, but it sucks for those who have not been blessed to be guided to understand this. The ones who have not been guided to understand, to be willingly lovesick. Really, with the moon, there's three ways that that can happen with it. There's the tamasic, there's the rajasic, and there's the sattvic. The tamasic person is like the person Khalil Gibran said, the person who does not laugh all their tears, who does not cry all their tears, does not laugh all their laughter. They numb themselves out because the heart is too painful to deal with. That's level 1. Level 2 is a person with a moon that is strong and that has the moon energy, but it fucks them up. You know, this is a person who can get into drugs, or a person who loves so hard, but they don't have the guidance to take that ebullient love and channel it into constructive, meaningful, heartfelt passages through loved ones, through doing things for people, through serving, and through love mainly. The moon getting what its needs are, adapting, finding what you need in the heart by adapting to the people around you, but also being firm and allowing them to adapt to you. That's especially the strength of a very powerful woman who has a good moon in her chart and who has been raised by a good mother, is that she knows the nature of the heart and the lunar energy. And she says she attracts love that allows her to adapt to them without losing any of her essence, and who encourages them to adapt to her without losing any of their essence. In order to do that, you have to have a good moon who's heartsick for that deep, true essence of love, which means you have to have a nose to find relationships, find men in your life who have your essence, so that they can come to you and be the love that you are and actually love you without you having to change them, without you having to be their mother and boss them around and try to align them up. You know, a lovesick person, the moon can often cause all of us to see the love we seek in the other person, but it's a mirage. It's like, you know, you're out in the desert and you found a rock and you're like, you know what, I'm so fucking hungry right now that I'm just going to pretend that this is an apple. And then you chew on it, you're chewing this big clod of dirt and you're like, oh, it's so good. But then you find you've got sand in your bowels and you're like, why am I so fucked up right now? Why are my bowels hurting? Why am I so slow and sluggish? It's because you've been eating rocks, my guy. That wasn't an apple, as much as you tried to make yourself believe it was. Lovesick people will do this. The other extreme of the moon is that they try to get something out of reality that's not there. A person with a good moon, who had a good mother, encouraged them to be firm in the fact that love is the most important thing in life. So don't go eating rocks. Don't go trying to make a relationship. Don't try to transform a man into what he's not. Find yourself in a person and then do the adaptation dance that allows you both to meet that thing that you're both seeking while still allowing them to be what they are. And this is a person with a good moon. And you have this, angel. You have this good moon. We haven't looked at your Venus yet or anything like that, but right now we're just talking about the moon, Atmakaraka, as Shata Bishak, let's take a quick peek here at what it means to have the 10th Lord. The moon rules the 10th house in this chart, which means for Libra rising, Cancer ruling the 10th house, the moon in this whole thing about love sickness and, like a Libra rising with a moon on Makaraka could probably make like a good psychologist. Somebody who understands, especially with the Shatabishak theme, it's like, how does another person tick? And to make a career out of it, to make a career out of your capacity to understand people. So this is the ruler of the 10th house inside of the 5th house. Let's see if I can find it. Right. So everybody, what we're looking at here is the ruler of the 10th house in the 5th house. Oh, I hear you, Michael. Love's a tricky thing, You do all tears out, all laughter too. I'm so glad to hear that, Angel. It's tough, but it's worth it. Thank you, Monica, my dear. I appreciate you for saying that. I felt good about what I just said. Sometimes I get into a spot talking about something and I'm like, wow, did I say that? So we have Libra rising. Cancer rules the 10th house. The moon is in the 5th house of Aquarius in the whole sign house system. So what does it mean to have the 10th Lord of Cancer? That's the moon. The 10th Lord in the 5th house of Aquarius. Let's take a quick little read and see what we can expect from there. Plus, we know this is a good moon. It's bright. It's got support from positive planets. It's the highest Shadbala planet. It's close to the 4th house cusp where it likes to be. This is a nice, strong, powerful moon. So we can read, whenever we read the ruler of the 10th house, whenever we read a Bhava Yoga, it shows good things that can happen and bad things that can happen. We can read this as being a good thing. So the Lord of the 10th house is called the Lord of Karma, because karma relates to the 10th house. Karma, the 10th house is where we have our job. It's where we serve. It's where we do work. It's where we ameliorate karma. So that's why the planet that rules your 10th house in your chart, whatever your rising sign is, the planet that rules the 10th house is called the Lord of Karma. It brings karma that you have to work out, but it also, that's where you build yourself, and that's where you ameliorate your weaknesses. That's where you work to increase your livelihood. So the Lord of Karma is standing in the offspring bhava. The Lord of Karma, the 10th Lord, is in the offspring bhava, the offspring house, which is the 5th house. The 5th house relates to children, creative acts that are similar to children, spreading your seed in a joyful, creative way. So the 10th Lord is in the 5th house. Already there's signification. Sorry, folks. I'm dealing with bullshit. Okay. We see it in the 10th Lord in the 5th house. Any planet in the 5th house is kind of lucky, but especially the moon is nice to be in the 5th house. So this person tends to be endowed with all knowledge, always joined with bristling joy, wealthy, and also having children. That's like a condensed thing that the Parashara gives us for this position. So now we have the writer here, Ryan Kirksack, and Richard Fish, his teacher, are going to kind of expound on that. What exactly does that mean? When this is positively placed, the 10th Lord in the 5th house, the Karma Lord in the offspring, the creative offspring bhava. This is a person who lives by their knowledge. This person is extremely intelligent. Oh, that's our 30-minute mark, but that's okay. Let's finish this. This person's extremely intelligent. They have a developed mind. Someone who works with taxes, stocks, investments, legal issues, and corporations. And especially they can deal with the masses because the moon rules the masses and the fluctuations and flows of people and where society is going. Relates a bit to Shatabishak too. This could be a person who's like a lawyer, some kind of a judge person, and not necessarily in a bad way as being judgmental, because Shatabishak understands everybody, but they're real about things and about law. They understand law. Shatabishak as well as the 10th Lord in the 5th house. This person may benefit from government work. Their children follow in their career path, and they work on behalf of children often. This person's well known for mental and intellectual prowess, having a respectable mind, being able to use their mind strongly and intelligently. They may be well known in the entertainment, fine arts, and athletic industries. They're naturally happy. Wealth comes naturally. They benefit from speculative investments, which means that it might be an intelligent thing for you to put your mind to where the world is going, seeing it with your 1,000 eyes beyond judgment and seeing where it's going to go, and investing accordingly with your money. Investments is a whole crazy world that if you're not there, it's always good to just be patient and learn about it before you get into it. Finds work easily and enjoys working. There's a real luck when it comes to just the career stuff that you do in your career. Angel. Now, keep in mind, Angel, that because you are the age that you are, let's see, I think I've already run you through this. You're probably about 57, 58 years old. No, I think you mentioned you're 59 years old, or you're turning 59. Either way, you're in the space where you're in the sun period, which is the space between age 50 and age 70, when the sun blooms, when you doing what you do in your career is blooming. Now we can see that the sun is shaming Mercury in the 2nd house. With Neptune there, this whole theme of being smart with your investments is seen through the 10th Lord in the 5th house, but the 2nd house probably brings some challenge to that, especially because the Lord of the 2nd house is in the 12th house with Pluto, and Mars being in Virgo is not the happiest chap. Especially in the 12th house, there might be losses of wealth, losses of financial energy in order to work through and do what this shame is involved with. There's really a lot to say about Mars and Virgo. Mars and Mercury being in a Parivartana Yoga. I remember this chart. Mars and Mercury are in a mutual exchange. It's an exchange of the 12th and the 2nd Lord with all this like Neptune, Pluto, Uranus energy there. There's a real signification that the 2nd house has to get eroded a little bit, but the erosion of the 2nd house, kind of the letting go of wealth, probably brings some of the 12th house peace and relief. There's a sacrifice of having. This is one of those charts where giving to others and spending a lot of time in sort of 12th house reconciliation, of letting go, real reclusive, renunciate, monk-like giving alms, almost when you don't have enough for yourself, to give alms still. This is like, like a good example of this is like you're walking down the street and you have your own gloves on because it's hella cold right now, at least where I am in Canada, and you see somebody who's on the street and they're a homeless person, have black gloves to give to people who are cold on the street. Just randomly do it, and if you don't even have your own gloves, if you give this person your gloves, now you've got to walk home with cold hands. And the whole time you're going home, you're walking home with cold hands, and it's like, fuck, now I'm freezing, but it's kind of worth it for me knowing that other person now has gloves. You got to be careful with this. The 12th house energy can ruin a lot of people because ultimately you need to be strong in your own material and emotional roots in order to give these spiritual fruits. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't send yourself upriver trying to save the world by giving them all black gloves. But this will ameliorate things a little bit for you. But ultimately, as Shatabishak, your bread, with the moon on Makaraka, your bread is buttered on the side of helping people. Now, the last thing I'll say for this reading, because we're over our time, is that the moon is in the Navamsha of Gemini, which means the theme of Gemini, particularly is a ninth house dimension of it, because you are Libra rising. But in this case, more to the point, Gemini Swamsha is cold hands, warm heart, as my granny said. God, that makes me want to cry. Your granny has my heart too. That is so, so sweet. What was it? Cold hands, warm heart. Yeah, so you're a Gemini Swamsha. You know, probably the best way for you to extend into the universe the sharing of ameliorating of karma that helps you move through this heart sickness is to almost make an intelligent counselor. And if you aren't doing this within your career, it would be well for you to do it with the people around you, with your friends, loved ones, family, as being a person who people can come to with the Shata Bishak vision and help them remove diseases and emotional diseases by explaining to them, talking with them about their childhood, and using your Gemini Swamsha to actually learn about, like, you know, Jungian psychology or Freudian psychology, you know, even if you're not going to make a job out of it, you know, find ways where you can act as a professional counselor by reading in this way and using the Gemini. They say they're dense. There's itchiness and they're stout. It's important for you to embrace the Sagittarian side of things, which is that with Gemini, you can find all sorts of information about a million things. But there's a need for you, and you might find your partners in your life. Anyone who's been a good partner for you has a Sagittarian element of bringing you into focus, of not just learning about any old thing, but having a target and then shooting for that target. Gemini is like, you know, I'm learning about the bow, you know, so I'm boing, and listening, doing, wow, that's cool, you know, what if I use a different type of string? Doing, wow, you know, maybe I'll try to use horsetail, doing, wow, it's different in each one, huh? And then your teacher's like, yeah. Start aiming at the target. Find a target. You know, it's cool that you're learning all these bling, all these different little things. You know, what kind of wood should I use? You know, your teacher and your husband and your partner is going to be like, target. See that up there? Doesn't matter what type of string you use. Doesn't matter what type of wood you use. Get at the target. Now, Gemini is a genius. Gemini Swamsha is a genius. And the truth is that once Gemini Swamsha masters their thing, everyone else is trying to shoot the target. Once Gemini gets the type of bow and string that perfectly works for them, they actually have an easier time shooting at the target. But, you know, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to have a purpose and shoot for something that's going to cause you to have to transform your attitude and to really aim single-pointedly at something meaningful in your life. It will be worth it for you to do so. And I hope that was helpful. That was our reading today for Angel. Yes, and this is Angel's chart. So, Angel, thank you so much. I hope that you've enjoyed this reading. I hope that every time I do a reading for you, it gives you a little bit more clarity. Back to square one financially. Feels clear now, and you're doing what you're meant to do. I'm very glad to hear that, Angel. There's always more to learn, you know, and, you know, investing, monetary investing can be a bitch, but I've had to learn a lot about it, and there's a lot there to it. It's a little bit trickier once you're of an older age because you don't have as much play of time. But there's always ways to understand how to make your money go as far as you can. Amazing. My pleasure, Angel. I hope that you've enjoyed this Big 3 reading. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more to go. We have one more reading for the day. So let's all chill out for a moment. I'm going to go and get a little bit of water, possibly a little bit of chocolate. I think I have some here, actually. I might have eaten... Nah, I ate it all. Ate it all at the library yesterday. So thank you, Angel. Nice golf clap. Yes, well done. Very well done. Thank you for sharing your chart with us. I'm glad to hear that this brought you some clarity. Now, for everybody watching, we're coming into our third reading of the day, and this is going to be for members only on my channel. Monica knows me. Monica can read my mind. I'm 2 charts in, and I'm like, all right, where's the chocolate? I'm going to find it, and I'm going to... I was going to say face fuck it. That's what came to my brain. I'm going to face fuck it. I'm too visceral for my own good, aren't I? People are going to come to my channel like, oh, this guy seems like such a nice guy. And I'm just like, chocolate. Anyway. I'm going to go and get some kind of snack anyway. And some water. And we're going to do our third reading for the day. And we're going to... Yeah, this will be our last reading for the day. We're going to choose from the members who are currently here. And we are going to give them a nice little Vedic Big 3 reading. So stay tuned, everybody. I'm going to see you in just a moment. Feel free to do a little bathroom break, do what we got to do. I'll see you guys in just 1 second. All right. Greetings, everybody. Oh, thank you, Angel. Thank you, my darling. I appreciate you very much for sharing with me that little bit of Skrillazilla. Hello there, P. Coomer. Thank you, Angel, that's Sun Soul Tarot, for sharing a little bit of love with me. You know, I love to do this stuff either way, folks, but it is always nice to be appreciated. But, you know, with today's reading especially, I'm doing this for my members. And, of course, Angel, my dear, you are also a member, so you're already supporting me. But thank you very much for sharing that with me. Now, for anybody who watches and enjoys me doing my thing, You can always get at me through donations, either by doing what Angel has done, by going directly through YouTube, or you can donate on this little GitHub PayPal thing that goes right to your PayPal for a chance to donate to the cause as well. But donations are always appreciated, but never expected. Now, I've got good news and more good news. The good news is I couldn't find any chocolate, and so what I did instead was eat some buckwheat honey that my lady friend, who I've still see quite a bit. I'm still blessed to have her in my life. She got me some buckwheat honey for my birthday, and I just got all of that shit. It was really good and very sweet, and I feel the sweetness very deeply. And I was like, okay, that's all right, we don't need chocolate. And then I saw that my mom had some Halloween candy still. I own a house here in Whitby, and my mom lives with my brother and I here. And she had the goods. Mars is pretty sweet once in a while, so I'm going to at least have a bite of this. I'm more of a dark chocolate guy usually, but Mars hits though. Ugh, I needed that. I was getting hongo. Alright folks, we got one reading left. Congratulations for all who have been hanging out and watching us today. Now, if you've been watching my show, like P. Kumar, and somebody else was hanging out with us as well. If you've been watching the episode today, and you would like to be involved whenever I do these membership-only Big 3 readings, and you want to be a member, all you've got to do is go to my channel. You go beneath the banner, and you'll find that there's a little thing there that allows you to join the channel. By joining my membership on my YouTube channel, you get a chance to have a reading like this whenever we do a live reading specifically for membership only. And it gives you, it narrows it down a little bit, because it's when you're only in the queue with other members. Sometimes I open my readings to everybody and there's like 20 people, right? When we're doing a membership, you've got a bit more of a chance to get in there. Plus you're supporting me and the work that I do, which of course I very much appreciate. Yeah, honey is really good, especially it's like a dark buckwheat honey. It's unpasteurized. It's that really good shit. Anything unpasteurized is very special. It's like comes right from the earth without being churned in the human machine. I try to get as much of that as I can. My sister has been eating a lot of kimchi. It's like she's nuts about all things Korean right now, my sister. She's Scorpio rising. She's 1993. She's so into this K-pop thing right now. All of Korean dramas, and they do they got like, hey, I got something in my pocket for you. Bang. And it's like a little heart. It's cute. My sister just does that shit to me all the time right now, which is cool. I think it's sweet. But she's been eating a lot of kimchi, and that's been good for her. Anyway, I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, we have one reading left for the day. Now, if you're here, if you're watching live with us, this means you have a chance now to get your reading. Now, if you've been watching and you aren't yet a member, feel free to join the membership, and that'll give you a chance to get a reading. But we have 9 people, and I know a few of them are members. Let's get a roll call. Who is still here, who is a member, and who is willing and looking to get a reading today? I know Rum Fluff is still here. I'm sure Monica is still here. Michael is a new member who's been very supportive today. I'd love to give you a reading as well. So let's do a roll call, everybody. Who is still here and who would like a reading as a member? We have Monica, Rum Fluff, Toxica. There's Michael. Nice to have you here as well, my friend. Thank you, Angel. And God bless you, Angel, for being a part of the show. It's always on Thursdays. I'm in a complex, and the guys go out and mow the lawn outside, but whatever. Lucas, nice to have you here as well. Do we have any other members who would be interested in having a reading today? Who haven't yet had a reading? Drum roll. I'll give just one more minute to anybody else. It looks like we've got our crew here, though. P. Kumar, Dustin, can I give a try your astrology prediction? So Kumar, my friend, if you mean, because you've been watching, I know you watched our last prediction, our last reading. Now, here on my channel, I often have it where you can get in for free and you don't need to be a member. But today, for this reading, we're doing readings for people who are members of my channel, P. Kumar. So, because the people who I'm reading today, they've been members of my channel. It's only $3 a month, and they've been supporting me by being members. So that's why I like to do readings like this, where I do readings only for the members. Now, there will come a point where I will do a reading that I give for everybody. But for today, it's members only. Now, Kumar, you can, if you'd like, you can join the membership, and then you'll have a chance to get a reading. Or if you want to do a full reading with me, or if anybody is interested in it, you can email me at astrology@dustincormier.com, and I've just put that in the comments section. And there you will be able to email me for a personal reading. And I charge when I do these things. So you can check out my website at dustincormier.com if you want to learn more about what those readings are all about. So we have our roll call here, folks. For anybody who just joined, this is our membership-only reading today. Thanks, P. Kumar. Thanks. Always feel free to ask questions. Now it looks like our friends Monica, Rumfluff, Toxica, Michael, and Lucas are currently on the bill. So it's Lucas, Monica, Toxica, Michael, and Rumfluff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Good. So we have our contestants for our next reading. We're about to choose our next reading, the next person who will be read today. Let's pick another number. 19 was good. I'm going to go with 19 again. And I'm going to start in the middle, since there's 5 people. I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to go up. Starting with this person. And I'm going to go for 19. I'm now choosing our next person. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a person who has been supporting me on my channel for a long time. And we might do more work with each other at some point once I finally get my shit together. My friend Monica, you have been chosen for today's reading. We're going to do a little dig, and we're going to dig into your Tropical Vedic Big 3. Monica, my friend, I hope that you're still here with us. Congratulations. Monica, that's Mo. Mo Lee. You have been chosen. You are the chosen one, Monica. Thou hast been chosen for another reading today. And thank you to everybody else who's been here and hanging out. Thank you to my friends Michael and Rumfluff. I was trying to get you guys in there because you guys haven't had a reading yet, but this is the nature of our game, and truth be told, I love doing readings for Monica. She's such a good support to my channel. But for all those who are watching, I like to really show this is how this show rolls. As even if you've had a reading before, there's always more that you can gain. There's always more that you can get out of it. So everybody gets a chance to be chosen on the readings when we do them here today. So thank you for everybody who's been joined. But if you feel like watching, keep on watching. And we have our final reading of the day. Now, Monica, I'm sure that I have your information somewhere in my little universe. But, Monica, I'm still going to ask, could you do me a favor? Because I'm on a different computer. Hello there, Rose. Nice to have you here. And welcome to the show. Rose, we've just chosen our next contestant for our live reading today. Now, Monica, my dear, that Monica is the one who's been chosen. So, Monica, do me a favor. Let me think. Do I know your birthday? I know you got so much going on in Libra. What's your sun, though? Let me guess it. I can't think of where your sun would be. That would be, oh, yeah, August. So that would make you a Leo. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, very good. And you're a Scorpio rising. Very interesting. At least that's what I remember you as. I'm going to shut up and actually plug this in and see what you are. Monica is August 13th, 1983 at 1:28 p.m. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Because then your sun is at the top of the chart. Top of the pops. That would be 13... 2800, female. She is born in the United States. Oops, not Uruguay. Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna do this so you guys aren't just staring at my face. USA. Aurora. What is MN? Is that like Minneapolis? Aurora, MN, St. Louis. Okay, Monica, August 13th, 1983, 1:28, female, yeah. That's right. Yes. So here we have Monica, who has the sun in Leo with Mars, and that Mars is not combust. That is a nice thing. That is a nice combination of the sun and Mars going on up there. The sun and Mars both gain Digbala by being at the top of the chart. This is a pumpin' sun in this particular chart and a pumpin' Mars. We also have some crazy Jupiter going on in this chart as well. Wow. So Monica definitely has some wisdom and capacity to listen from this strong Jupiter Stanabala. The Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter are all pretty happy in this chart. The Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter are the first, second, and third strongest planets in this chart. The Sun and Jupiter are basically tied. So that is some crazy strength there, which is amazing. There's inspiration, there's an upbeatness, and there's a wisdom. Ah, Minnesota. That's what that would be. And yeah, so we could see the moon is one place in this chart where there are some things that are just taking it down and not giving it the support that it should have. But it's really nice that this Sun and Mars and Jupiter and Mercury are all doing a lot to work together to really bring this chart together. It's really, really nice that this Mercury, no wonder it's doing so well, it's in a yoga with Venus in the sign of Virgo in the 11th house. Really strong capacity to understand what one's mission, what one's goals are about, and how one can contribute to one's field that one seeks to grow into. Now, I have just pressed the button. We have started our 30-minute marker, and now we're rolling. So we have here Scorpio rising. And of course, Scorpio rising, as I've mentioned, when you have a rising sign, as well, this actually also works similarly with the South Node. Anyone with the Scorpio rising or Scorpio South Node tends to emulate the energy of Scorpio, which is the place where the moon is debilitated. So the way the person operates in themselves can be difficult for the moon. Scorpio is somebody who would rather work really hard, quietly, silently, in order to do what they have to do. And this quiet, silent work is not conducive to emotional sharing. This is why a person who's Scorpio rising can have this energy of really wanting to commit very deeply to a person, because they almost feel like they know that they are such a solo, quiet, lone wolf person that love is very important to them. And so they want to do what they have to do in love, but they're almost a bit nervous. They almost feel like they'll never do enough to make themselves worthy of being loved. This is an extreme thing, but I'm also reeling into this the fact that the moon has a little bit less Shadbala than it would like to have in this chart. On top of this is the fact that the Pluto and Saturn are really kind of together conjunct this moon in this space of the 12th house. It's nice that Saturn is exalted, but the moon and Saturn are definitely stepping on each other's heads in this chart, and Pluto would definitely be exacerbating that. So it's interesting. This would probably be, this is a chart where its good side is very bright and its dark side is very dark. This is, for all the good that is happening in this chart, there is a deep emotional unrest in this that's indicated here, which this is just like one of those things that this person will probably have to recognize in themselves, move through, understand, be patient with, and learn to love themselves for. Because you're not gonna get through any kind of difficulty in the chart by not loving it. Now I know this person, Monica, and me and her have done a lot of stuff together and a lot of work together, and she's done a lot of healing for me. So I know that Monica knows and understands these things. She's a very intelligent and wise woman. I think that there's the wisdom that I see in Monica's chart, especially through things like what's going on with Jupiter in its own sign, the Jupiter and the Mercury both being strong in this chart. I know that Monica has the wisdom to understand, especially help other people to move through the difficult gunky monkeys that we often experience as humans. And she can do it for herself too. But this is a signature where no matter how much wisdom you have, there's still going to be internal emotional upsets that are just going to come that we almost have no control over. Now, what's interesting is that what we have... Oh, that's cool, Rum Fluff. What we have with this chart, when I did Monica's Big 3 reading, and I'll take this moment just to quickly remind everybody that I'm doing these Big 3 readings. You can see them as the YouTube shorts. on my channel. I do a little 3-minute reading for you, and I put it as a YouTube short. In order to let me know, you can email me, and I'll let you know how to volunteer to do that. Now, when I did Monica's Big 3 reading, I looked up her nakshatra, and I believe that, Monica, you're on the cusp of Svati and probably Chitra, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Planetary information table. The moon is in Svati. Yes. So we have here Svati moon nakshatra. And it's a little bit cuspy. So this is one of those annoying things where we, as modern interpreters of Tropical Vedic Astrology, have to be aware that it's not as easy for us to just pinpoint, to just say, oh, this point is always, no matter what, going to be that nakshatra. Because the tropical zodiac is revolving around and through the sidereal nakshatras. As well, Ernst Wilhelm has a particular way of defining the nakshatras. So when I say that Monica is Svati nakshatra, this is how it is given in Ernst Wilhelm's natural ayanamsha, his way of calculating the nakshatras. Could be a little bit different from, say, like Viktakara. I'd almost want to check to see what Viktakara would put you as, but it's okay. What I've been doing in these readings is saying, this is what my software gives. Keep in mind that it's a cusp. It might not be 100% correct, but feel it out and see if it works for you. Now, what's interesting is that for Monica, the lunar nakshatra that she has is the nakshatra of Svati. And Svati is known for being a nakshatra that is of wind, as Vayu is actually some elements, some of the tattvas literally just have a place where they're held as being lorded by these certain nakshatras. For example, Agni is fire, and Agni is ruled, Agni itself is the deity of Kritika nakshatra. Purva Ashada has Appa, it's water. Water is literally ruled by one nakshatra, it's Purva Ashada. Vayu, the wind, is ruled as a tattva by Svati, making it a sort of elemental nakshatra. There's a windiness that allows you to be taken by passion, but taken by the wind. Now, it's funny, I could talk so much about wind because Saturn, I got Saturn coming out of my ears. I got, Saturn is my strongest Shadbala planet. It's about the same amount that you have as Jupiter in your chart, Monica. Jupiter is your strongest, not your strongest Shadbala planet entirely. Jupiter and the Sun are kind of tied for your Shadbala, but Jupiter is your highest Sthana Bala, and Jupiter relates to the ether element. So you might find that things disappear from your life and that you cause things to disappear through that Jupiter essence. It's a dissipating. When there's anger, when there's joy, when there's anything going on, you have a Jupiter that allows you to make it kind of disappear, because there's a wisdom of hearing that allows you to listen so intently to the present moment that the memories of what has come through you dissipates into the ether of the right now. And Jupiter as your strongest element, as the strongest tattva, is a great asset to anybody. It allows them to step lightly on this earth, to still be deep and plunge heartfelt into what you're doing, but to always be ready to let go of what doesn't work. Now, that's Jupiter being your highest Sthana Bala planet, and very strong in Shadbala as well. Now, because Saturn is your Atmakaraka, which is the case for this person, everybody, right? So Monica has Saturn Atmakaraka in the sign of Libra, where it's exalted. Technically, yes, it's in its exaltation point. This is a crazy good chart when you think about it. Mercury's in its Mula Trikona, and Jupiter is in its Mula Trikona. So Saturn exalted, Mercury in its own sign, Sun in its own sign, Jupiter in its own sign. There's a lot of good going on in this chart. It's crazy when you look at it. Now we have Saturn Atmakaraka. Yeah, you feel more of the Svati. Cool. Saturn Atmakaraka is going to emphasize the elemental nature of that planet. In this case, that's Saturn. So there's an emphasis on wind and air. You know, this is, you might even be somewhat of a, you know, it's probably likely, Monica, that you've got sort of Vata qualities in your astrology, in your Ayurvedic dosha. It's interesting for me to think of. There are times when I hear an almost kapha quality in your voice and in your character. Hard to say. But Vata is ether and air. So you might find that you've got some of this Vata quality inside you. It's somebody who, being Vata, you might do well to eat nourishing kapha-like foods. I'm Vata as well. If anybody knows what Vata is in Ayurveda, it's my high squeaky voice that I have. It's a very quick-minded, intellectual, psychologically minded person. It's someone who's philosophical, someone who kind of lives in their head a little bit, which can be powerful, but, you know, every one of the three doshas has its strengths and weaknesses. And so Vata people do very well to eat consistently, to eat good meals. Like I always tell people, if I don't eat 3 meals a day, I'm going to disappear into the ether. Because that's just how I am. I'm skinny as shit. And I enjoy that. It allows me to have no heaviness on my bones that allows me to think quickly and deeply and to have a penetrating mind. But I do need to eat good food, satisfying, nourishing food that's been well cooked. I really love to have a good soup once in a while. And ghee is especially famously good for Vata people. So ghee in a soup that's been cooked well. Eat lots of bone broth if you can help it. This is the kind of stuff that will give you some of that much needed solidity, so that when the wind comes through you, essentially awesome. Organic diet is definitely good. Although we've all got it. You know, I wish I could eat organic too, but there are times when, you know, especially if I'm doing something, I'm out writing, and I'm at the mercy of the restaurants all around me, and the restaurants around me aren't always good. It's more about ghee and bone broth nearly daily. That's awesome, Monica. You know, it's more about consistently getting a hit of that really, really good stuff. Bone broth is a huge one. So this Vata energy relates to wind, which relates to your Svati moon, and to Saturn as your Atmakaraka. And when it comes to windy constitution, there's a windy humor that is conducive to yoga. And you might find yourself like hacking and spitting up like phlegm when you do a really good yoga session. That's spitting and getting out the gunky monkeys. What a windy constitution person like us needs is a sail. And a sail is going to be any solid thing that you do in a rhythm. You see, Saturn is air. It really is there's a necessary conversation happening between air and earth in a chart. Mercury is earth. And you got strong Mercury. You got a great Mercury happening in your chart. So it's going to really help you a lot to have some solid work, job, career, and the intelligence to know how to contribute to that job, right? Because of your Mercury and Venus that you have in the 11th house of Virgo, which is where Mercury's Mula Trikona is. This is a person who uses Mercury and Venus to be a pleasant, enjoyable person in their job, as well as in their sexual interactions and erotic and family and emotional connections. Because Mercury rules the 8th house, where Rahu is in this chart, as well as the 11th house. It's very likely that making a 8th house solid emotional connection, as well as a financial connection with people, with possible friends, and with lovers. That kind of connection is something. With Rahu there's especially a deep desire to have this kind of solidity and understanding and manifestation and movement through these sorts of energies. Rahu and Chiron being in the 8th house can actually make this a little bit difficult, but when you do wrangle it, it's satisfying. Although it's a little more windiness, a little bit sort of craziness there. Doing deals, doing business deals, involving yourself financially and emotionally with other people is something that's satisfying, but dangerous and troublesome. Although if you try to keep all of your emotional energy and money to yourself in this 2nd house, it can become a slog, especially with Uranus and Neptune here. It can become a sort of slog of you living in your own world, managing your own resources, eating your food in a balanced diet, habitual way. It'll be good for you to breathe some breath in by being a bit of that Gemini. A hot hand on a cold day, a warm hand, a cold hand on a warm day. To sort of play with the universe around you and invite some of that 8th house energy in a conscious way, in a heartfelt and open way. Really, it's the Moon and Saturn together with Pluto that is going to make it so that anytime you invite that kind of 8th house energy in, it can be tough, it can be tough, it can be hard to be stable, and the heart sickness of the Moon can fall into those sorts of problems that we've mentioned in our last reading, where it's good for you to recognize that while that heart sickness can bring in some of that 8th house energy, it's good for you to be conscious of not allowing yourself to be taken in and to be completely absorbed so much by the prospect of another person, or spending your money and time and emotional energy into another person. You don't want this to come at the expense of your own values, your own beingness, your own foundations, your own emotional heart. Finding a balance there is going to be important for you in this chart. Now, this is a huge part of the themes going on in this chart overall, is finding peace with that Moon in the 12th house, and finding peace with the windy energy, where what does it mean for you to grab a sail and to get upwind of it? This is an important question. I would say that this is an important question for you, Monica, is what does it mean for you to grab a sail and to get upwind of the passion, of the emotions, of the motivations, of the changing motivations that move through you? Saturn, interestingly, it's because it's such a scattering influence that it does well to have mercurial Earth, that it has some kind of a career that identifies with a basis of knowledge that it can move through and consistently contribute to through that 11th house in particular for Scorpio, to have things that it can grab as a sail. And that way your windy energy that desires to be passionate, to laugh, to, like they say air, it's Kama. The air signs relate to Kama, especially, including Libra. So there's a person who likes to play games, like card games, who's kind of crafty in this strategical sort of way, and who enjoys doing it. Like, this is somebody who probably enjoys playing, like, board games like Risk, or Monopoly. And these are games where it has certain rules. You understand the system of the rules, and then you apply the wind to push and put pressure on the pieces and the opponents in this way that's playful but competitive. And there's that windy energy is like what's going on in your life. Your life has some kind of design to it, some kind of systemic reality to it, that you need to find your sails, find the pieces. How does the game work? How do you win at Monopoly? You learn how to win at Monopoly, and that's how you apply the pressure. First you learn the rules, then you push the pieces in the rules and put pressure on the other person. It's like chess. Once you know how all the chess pieces work, then you start just playing with the game, learning the fundamentals, learning all the things that can get you screwed over, learning all the things that can that can get you into traps. And then you start learning the traps so that you can get other people into those traps. This kind of pushy competitive strategy is windy energy, and it's very powerful for winning things. And so the question for you is, what is your game? Where are your sails on your ship, on your boat? What can I grab that I know myself, I know my psychology, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and how do I apply myself to the elements of the game that I've been born into so that I can strap the sails down and use the wind to actually push me forward. And this can include the things that have happened to you in your life, utilizing your mind within everything. You know, this can include being consciously and psychologically aware of what has happened to you in your past, of what kind of strengths that you've gained through that, and knowing and understanding. You might even be somebody, you know, we've talked about how Svati moon, nakshatra, can be somebody who should be very conscious of the fact that they can see and understand things in an organization. They're very individualistic people who can be innovators, who can think of things that nobody else would think about. And it's good for them to invite this into their personal relationship so they can see if their partner's doing something that doesn't work or is breaking the relationship. The Svati moon person knows. It's like, hey man, you own China and I own Russia on the risk board, and like we're partners. And I'm telling you right now that if you don't put defense on the west side of Russia, Europe is going to come and take you, and they're going to come take both of us. So I'm telling you, I'm sending you some soldiers. Like, put some guys on the west part of Russia. And the partner's like, hey, come on, don't tell me how to play the game. You've got to be like, look, just trust me on this. I know the game. Like, you know, when you've really gotten intelligence about something, you want to be able to convey it to your partner. Your partner's always going to resist a little bit. That's natural. You've got to learn how to use the sail and without ripping the sail, so you don't actually bug your partner too much. You don't really, you know, you don't be so sore about directing and commanding things that they actually get bummed out by your intelligence. And one of the key things of doing this is that when you find lovers in your life resist you, you've got to understand, A, that that's natural, that's part of who you are, and they should and will love you for that. But B, when your partner gives you resistance to the hand that you can put over a relationship situation, which you have this intelligence to be able to apply and the passion to be able to say, this is this thing we should do, when they resist you, this is going to trigger your moon and your Saturn. The moon and Saturn in you, which are conjunct with Pluto, is going to make you question whether you're really lovable. It's going to make you question, oh, maybe I'm a piece of shit. Maybe I've got this, you know, again, whatever's happened to you when you were younger, in your childhood, or throughout your life while you were going through learning how to be a person in relationship, you know, whatever happened to you in very, very early childhood days are going to get triggered when you apply resistance to your lover and they resist your resistance, or rather when you apply persistence to your lover and they resist it. See, anybody else who has this exact chart but their moon is placed really well, then they're just going to apply the chessboard game with their partner and say, this is this thing we got to do. You got to put people west of Russia so we don't get our things. And the partner's going to resist you. Come on, don't tell me what to do. And you'd be like, honey, come on, you know, trust me. And then they'll find some playful way of getting the partner to trust them without taking it personally that the partner doesn't trust them right away. It's when the Scorpio rising, the moon, the Saturn, you don't trust yourself to be worthy of love enough to apply your intelligence to a partner, and when they resist it, you start to feel like, oh fuck, I'm a piece of shit, or I'm breaking down. And this is going to come in a lot of ways from developing your own awareness of your own Saturn, of your own moon. Especially as time goes on, as you get older, you're going to find that Saturn is going to be solidifying. Saturn is going to be maturing. And this is all Saturn Atmakarika people are, what's that old phrase? It's like the older the grape, the tastier the wine. This is a fine vintage of wine is Saturn Atmakarika, which is it's the reality for Saturn Atmakarika. I know, so I fall in love with Saturn Atmakarika. The girl that I know who has been a muse of mine for a long time is Saturn Atmakarika. And there's a lot of things of being a young Saturn Atmakarika person where this wind, the wind causes you to be very anxious. And it's going to take a long time to buckle the sails in so that you know the currents of your own wind. You know the sails of your own passion. You just know how your game works. And it takes time to know that so well that you can communicate with a partner that, I feel this is going to be happening. Awesome. I'm glad that you're grateful for your Saturn Atmakarika, because everything can be seen as beautiful to somebody. It's partly because Saturn is my Dharakarika. Saturn is the planet, I got it at 1 degree of Aquarius. It's my Dharakarika. So I love anyone who has a lot of Saturn energy. And so no matter what, my heart is just with people like you, Monica, and like this girl that I went out with. Who else? I've got other Saturn people in my life. So Saturn has this way of being so windy that anyone that's with them just has to be with this person who will occasionally have a windstorm and just be blown and bowled over by their passion, by their anger energy, their negative energy, their depression that can just come in and absolutely crush them. And then when they move through it, they're past it, they're on the other side of it, and all of a sudden, it's almost like a bipolarism that can be described to a person with a lot of wind energy. It's not, it's a joyful bipolar if you can wrangle it, understand it, and learn to communicate with people when you're in the dark storm that, hey, everybody, I'm doing the thing that I usually do. Let's batten the hatches. It's like being a sailor. It's an amazing thing to be able to use the wind to drive you. You've got this wind carrying you. It's like, oh my God, look at the universe just like, they say Saturn is behind the Adityas. The Adityas is this thing that's carrying the sun god, and the Rakshasas is Saturn that's behind the vessel pushing. So Saturn loves to be pushing from behind. That's the wind. And there are times when you set something up to make sure that everything's pushing from behind. When you do that push and the vehicle drives itself, the wind takes it. It's like, oh my God, there's this incredible freedom, this incredible mobility, this incredible ability to do anything. When Saturn really comes into mastery of manifestation, and when it is the Atmakarika, over time, this begins to be the case. Now the problem is that when there's a windstorm, when you're out at sea, and the wind, you're against the elements, which means that you've got to be able to know how to batten the hatches, how to reel it in, how to bring yourself into, essentially to communicate to your partners and to your loved ones and to everybody around you that I'm having that moment. I'm having that thing happen to me. Sadly, God bless them, every Saturn Atmakarika person that I know is inclined to deal with it themselves. They don't ask for help. They just told everybody, come on, everybody, you're going to love the best parts of me. And everyone's like, okay, great. We're going to love it. This is the Saturn Atmakarika says, everybody get in my boat. We're going for a sail. It's going to be the best. You're just going to be able to sit back and let the wind do everything. And everyone's like, wow, this sounds amazing. And then the Saturn Atmakarika gets them all in the boat, and the boat takes them on this beautiful journey for 2 days. The third day comes, and there's a storm. And the Saturn Atmakarika has not taught anybody how to batten the hatches, how to be with me when I go through the dark parts of myself. And now everyone's like, hey, we've loved doing this with you this whole time. It's been great. But the Saturn Atmakarika goes, yes, I thank you, I understand, I know, I'm worthy, I've got all that stuff, great. Now just let me do this. And then they do everything themselves. They just tell everybody, like, I'm going through this thing, I can't ask for help, I don't want to ask for help, because I don't want people to know that I need help when these things happen. You know, I've invited you all to enjoy the best parts of me, not the worst. And what they never realize is that we love the person for what they are, for the good side and for their bad side, for everything that they are. Saturn Atmakarika people have people begging them, would you please just let me do for you what you do for me for once? You do so much for me. It would be a joy for me to do for you what you were always doing for me, taking care of me, taking care of all the things that nobody asks about, looking and seeing that there's something wrong with me and saying, hey, are you bothered by this thing? Nobody else would ask me that but the Saturn Atmakarika person. They eyeball it and they say, there's my alarm there. They eyeball it and say, you know, are you bothered by this thing? Has anybody else talked with you about this? And it's like, no, nobody has. You're the only person that has. So now the Saturn Atmakarika is in the middle of a windstorm, and there's clearly a billion things that they have not taken care of, that they're now all taking care of all by themselves, and everyone's going to them and saying, can I help you? You see you've got these things going on? And the Saturn Atmakarika says, no thank you, no please, I don't need any help, I can do it myself. It's beautiful. I love it about them. You don't think you've had a solid person in your life. You know, remember that there is some level of, when it comes to the Saturn person, being able to batten the hatches, over time they need to be able to do it from within themselves. There is a truth to that. But what they also need to do is manifest in their life, because we don't just have our partner. Although a Scorpio rising with a chart like this, remember we talked about Scorpio rising. They've got the 12th house and 7th house are both ruled by Venus. And this is a Venus that's debilitated. Still pretty happy Venus, though, ultimately. It's with its friend Mercury. That in particular, and it's a very happy Mercury. This Venus isn't that bad. Now, we've got the Saturn, Moon, and Pluto in Libra in the 12th house, which is ruled by Venus. You know, this kind of shows that there's a character, again, to Scorpio rising in general, that it can kind of dive very deeply into its partnerships. It thinks so single-pointedly in its partnership. But what I'm reading from this is that the people in your life, your family, the children in your life, the friends in your life, your co-workers, having a warm social circuit around you so that you can invite through them this Saturnian ability to help you when you need to batten those hatches, when the windstorm comes. And it's important to be able to do that when you go through this experience, when you go through this storm that you're going through, is to have people, not just a partner, but let me put it this way. What I see with Scorpio rising typically is that they do a lot, and there's also this Saturn Atmakarika. It's doing a lot of things for other people and not thinking about how these people who I do all this stuff for, because I love to do it for them, I love to feel needed, I love to feel like I'm a resource for people. But you don't often think of how you can make that reciprocal and talk with people about how you have these moments that you would like to do with them, so that they can ask you, Monica, what's going on? Or Saturn Atmakarika person, what's going on with you, right? And so it's one thing to not have a solid person in your life who could do this as a main partner. But it's another thing, especially because you are that solid person for others. It's another thing for you to not have a general people, friends in your life who can do this for you. Because your partner's not going to always be able to do it for you. This is a spider web that Scorpio rising needs to build. Scorpio rising needs to be able to build this spider web of people who they are mutual with, who they bring mutual connections with, so that and to think about it when you are connecting with people, to manifest it, to attract it, especially using that Mercury and your powerful second house. You know, Monica, you are somebody who has the witchy capacity to be someone who has the second house and the second house Jupiter, Sagittarius strength there, and the Mercury strength, with your Mercury being strong, to be able to use your voice and to manifest what it is that you seek in your life. And whenever you are in interactions with people, you feel you build it, then it gets destroyed. Each time provides further growth. That is the right attitude. Now, this is a building that needs to come with time, because you've got a lot of good in your chart. You might feel that because of there's an emotional heaviness, an emotional sourness, a disbelief in yourself. It's something that might have happened where it's almost too painful to build things with other people in a solid and constructive way. Especially with this 12th house energy, you might feel like you're an alien, including the second house energy stuff. You know, you might feel like with Uranus, Neptune, and the South Node all in the second house in Jupiter, it might sometimes feel like you're like the only person on the planet who thinks like you and who thinks the way that you do. But as time goes on, building these kinds of connections, these kinds of emotional connections that almost, you know, with the moon is exalted in Taurus. And Scorpio has a strength in their seventh house for this reason. They have a dharmic capacity to find, let me just say this really quickly, because we mentioned it a little bit already. The moon rules the ninth house for Scorpio. That's Cancer. The ninth lord is exalted in the seventh house, which means when there's a dharmic, when you feel like there's a meaning, a ninth house meaning, like you have an ethical, moral obligation to do things for the people in your life because it's the right thing to do, and you don't necessarily ask for anything in return. I'm sure that you do a lot of that, but one of the keys to the moon with Scorpio rising is funneling that spiritual, I want to help people and show love for them in a true way through the Taurus in the seventh house. There is a need to think about the fact that I also need to take care of myself. And I need to think about how I can spiritually involve myself with partners that aren't just, again, partners. I didn't even mean to say partner. What I meant is relationships is the best way to say it. That's friendship, that's family, that's developing through the seventh house relationships in general, friendships, people who you play these board games with and enjoy this sort of easygoing time with, where you are also getting your bread buttered while you're buttering theirs. And considering that you deserve that, knowing that you deserve that, because everybody does. And people actually love when Scorpio rising lets them in to do this. I know it from you, and I know it from this girl who I went out with, who, again, she is Scorpio rising, Saturn Atmakarka, just like you are. This is a person who, it's just the most, it's the inside of a percolating clamshell when this person gives that love. There's such a beauty and a preciousness to it, especially because they can be so shy and so unfeeling, feeling like they almost don't deserve to give it away, or they want it to be very special. And being able to not only do those good things for people, but allowing them to do it for you. Finding people who you think of, who you can see, that this is a person where we can have this mutuality, where I can do nice things for them, and they will do nice things for me. And to think about that. and to manifest that through your Mercury and through your second house, the second house of the throat. Manifesting reciprocal love relationships. That's what I'm talking about. That's the whole thing that I was trying to get at here, to put it all there. Manifesting reciprocal love relationships that are not just partnership, like marriage. Reciprocal love relationships in your life at the level of friendship, at the level of easygoing connections. And you might find that this can be a tough thing to do, you know? Even I can be guilty of, connecting with people and not always being there to be able to provide this kind of connection, Like, you have to find those people who can do it, who are there for it. Take what you can from it, and don't take it personally when they can't fully be reciprocal to it. But if somebody is not reciprocal to it, keep manifesting it. Not just through that person, but also, more to the point, to the cosmos. You find one person who seems like they're it, they don't give you the reciprocal thing that you sought, you keep speaking it into the universe. I'm worthy of reciprocal love. Reciprocal love is coming to me. It's a very good thing and a powerful thing for a Scorpio rising to find and work out this moon energy, which I see being one of the only real difficult things in this chart. Everything else is looking pretty good, but as for all of us, especially for Saturnautmakarika, the squeakiest wheel can ruin the journey for them. But the squeakiest wheel ultimately doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that you're moving forward and living your life and doing exactly what you're supposed to do. I can see that you have a hard time receiving. And this is, again, trying to show everybody the best of the boat ride when the wind is at your back, and showing everybody being the wind at everybody's back, and doing such good things for everybody, being so valuable to everybody else, but then reminding everybody of these good things that you do, reminding of it, vocalizing and manifesting the receiving. That's why it's good to manifest through your voice. I'm a receiver, and reciprocal relationships are coming to me. It's a very important thing that I see happening in this chart. And with the Saturn dimensions, having the ability to manifest these things is an important aspect of this chart. And your voice, the words, are a very powerful thing that you can use. It's like, again, it's just like this is our board game. We're playing Monopoly. The community chest card. Like be aware that that's there. Be aware of the games in Monopoly, that you can put your hotels on there, and then when people land there, you're going to get more money. That's part of the game. You know that, and you aren't stupid, and you'll use all the resources that the game gives you in order to win, because that's what the game's designed to do. For you, your hotels, your community chessboard is Jupiter and Mercury, and these are vocal manifestation planets. Through faith and vocalization, that everybody deserves the roots that will bring them the spiritual fruits that they desire. So you need to manifest the roots that you seek for yourself as rectifying and bringing into harmony the moon in your chart, which is reciprocal relationships and receiving. Use your voice to manifest it. That's your community chest card. You might as well use it. You know what I mean? The last thing I will say here for our dear friend Monica before I go and eat all the food in my fridge is that our friend Monica here is Saturnautmakarika with Saturn and the moon in this spot in Libra. That puts her as Gemini Swamsha. Oh, my pleasure, Monica, my dear. You are Gemini Swamsha. And it's awesome that Mercury, where it is in your chart, is actually in Gemini in the Navamsha chart. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Monica. You know, I love doing this stuff for you. As Gemini Swamsha, you're somebody who, this increases more of the Mercury Gemini manifestation through the voice capacity. It does show that you can almost gain too much dense stoutness of information. You learn so much. It's again what we were talking about with the arrow. Somebody who, with Gemini Swamsha, especially because the North Node is in Gemini, there's a calling for you to do the Gemini thing, which is to learn a lot of information. And it's again, you know, you're with your teacher. You know, the teacher is trying to teach you how to shoot a meaningful arrow towards a goal that you can stick to consistently. And so you're there, and you're almost annoying the teacher, like, you know, like, hey, let's check out what the kind of strings we use. This is the horse string, doing, doing, doing. Now this is like nylon, doing, doing, doing. Wow, doesn't that sound cool? And the teacher's like, yeah. Take whatever bow you need and start shooting at the arrow. Start getting your energy field in alignment, focusing it on a single pointed point, and dedicate yourself to hitting that one target, hitting that one thing, moving towards it in a single pointed, concentrated way. And when you fail, it's okay to move around, but stick to the one target and at least eat your way towards that one target, hit it sufficiently. And then there's going to be a new target. Things will change. But the most important thing, or at least a important thing for Gemini Swamsha, is to aim at a single pointed target and focus on hitting it. And this is Gemini Swamsha, as it likes to learn about a million different things, about things that don't necessarily align with that single pointed purpose. Now, your Gemini is good. There's an intelligence to your Gemini, to your Mercury, that's going to really, like, you love learning about everything. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a positive, beautiful thing that you love knowledge. Being able to love knowledge is very special. And you really loving anything, having a love for anything, and the world giving you the ability to do that thing is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Gemini Swamsha, with Mercury placed the way it is in your chart, with the yogas, with the 11th house, you know, it's likely over time that you could find a way to allow your love of learning to be an asset to your career and to your knowledge, to be an asset to your reputation through the 11th house, and to somehow your love of learning to be an asset to your overall gains of what you seek to gain in your life. But the first thing you got to do is seek, what are the gains that I seek to have in my life? What do I seek to manifest through that second house? What do I want to have? What do I want to build? What do I want to do with my money? Why would I want money? What am I seeking to manifest through a partner, through a love life, through family? And how do I use my knowledge to build on that? Because ultimately what it's going to come down to is that the love of learning for its own sake is always going to be a blessed target that you can just hit all the time as something that you enjoy. That is in some ways the target, but using your love of learning as an arrow to launch forward into further depths of this love in your life is useful too. Oh, that's awesome, Angel. So, I hope that this has been useful to you, Monica, and it looks like it has. I'm so glad to hear that you enjoy, whenever I get to do this with you, Monica, I love to do it. You deserve all the good things that come to you, my dear. And Monica has been supporting my channel for a long time. I'm always happy when I land on her name in these readings. Because, you know, this is what's nice about me doing this astrology thing is that I'm doing a lot of Saturn work and putting it out there for people. And it's a painful and ugly and yucky thing sometimes to do, especially because Pluto and Aquarius is going over my Saturn right now. But it's teaching me, I've got a good Saturn. I mean, according to what I see, Saturn is coming out of my ears, as I like to say. And what I'm learning is that I'm building serving my community by doing this and giving the opportunity for reciprocation. You know, it's never expected. But I always say tips are always appreciated but never expected. I allow people to be members on my channel. I'm starting to do this thing where I've got people coming to my website and subscribing so that they can see when I've got my new books coming out. And ultimately, the people are getting the bread that I throw out there. And even if they don't come back and give me anything for it, I didn't expect anything from that. I'm just giving them the bread. But to make space for people to give back to me, to give them options to receive back to me, is something that Saturn is teaching me. Saturn as well as the moon. As time goes on, I'm just learning these things, you know? So being able to make the space for reciprocal relationship is important for everybody. And I'm very happy to be able to convey these things in this way. And that being said, I'm very happy for Mo. Monica is a very reciprocal relationship in my life. And I'm very happy to have you, Monica. Thank you for being a part of my channel. And thank you for allowing us to check out our Tropical Vedic Big 3 reading review today. Let's give Monica a nice little clappity clap. Yes. Excellent. Well done. Golf clap. The Dumbledore clap. Yes. Very well done. No, much love back to you, Monica. Thank you, everybody. I think that this was a good day. Thank you, Michael. Nice to see you, P. Coomer. Lucas, Angel, Hasyanov, and we also had Master Damus hanging out with us today. We've had quite a few people hanging out with us. It hath been a day, I would say. Now, let's call her one. I'm Hongo Chongo. I'm going to go eat all the food in the fridge. Oh! And hopefully the next time you guys see me, I'm actually going to be at my spot in Campbellford. I'm going to have my normal background. I'm going to have my pictures. And until Christmas, I'm going to be doing some stuff. I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Big 3. But right now, my main focus is my writing. I got lots of writing to do. That's what's going to be my next big thing over the next little while. But we're going to talk about the Big 3, and we're going to finish. I got lots of those little videos to do. The Vedic Big 3, the little 3-minute videos. I got lots of those left to do. The next Big 3 will probably be at the end of November. The last Saturday. I'm going to start doing it on Saturday. The last Saturday of the month is going to be our next Big 3 reading. And it might be members only. I think it will be. I like doing the occasional members only things because it's good for me to give my members something to have mutual reciprocation for the love that you give to me by being a member. I'm learning this. Saturn is teaching me to be real about these things. So I'm glad for you guys to be a part of my journey in speaking into manifestation, this mutual reciprocation of love and energy. I hope you guys see it that way. I hope that makes sense the way I'm conveying it. If it doesn't, I'm sure I'm learning that and moving to keep it in my mantric speech. As a teacher, I think I need to be able to just talk and move through these things. If it doesn't work, I say, oops, my bad, and move forward from that. But I feel pretty good about it. So lots of love, everybody. Lots of love and light. I'll see you guys next time. And I always like to do this too. If anybody is interested in a reading with me, you can contact me at DustinCormier.com, or you can check out my PayPal link there to give me a donation. Donations are always appreciated, never expected. Thanks, everybody. Lots of love. Thanks for our volunteers today. I'll see you guys on the other side, and enjoy your time this November until I see you again.
Take care.